Okay, can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Yep, sure can.
Okay, Adam, I am giving you the keyboard and
Yes.
mouse. So go ahead with the demo. And Lata, we started recording, right?
Yes.
While I have my microphone on, I do have the CAD file for that parcel we were looking at last week, and I have the DXF file.
Sounds good. We can show that demo after this.
Yeah, at some later date. I found it on the CD and I downloaded it to my computer, so I have it available.
Sounds great. Yeah. Adam, you're looking for an MXD to run that? Okay.
Yeah, there's too many ArcMaps open.
Sorry. Yeah.
It's all right. All right, so I'm just going to open up an MXD real quick.
So the data reviewer is used for running automated checks on your data, be it attribute checks or any line work checks. So you have some rules. We have different levels, right, for quality control in your data. One is you have the parcel fabric, which is in itself has gotten a lot of rules that will allow you like some do's and don'ts, right? So that's one level. And you have the topology, and then the geodatabase itself like constrains people from doing things that are not supposed to be done. Okay, so there are so many different levels of doing quality control. And then one of the most commonly used step is the data reviewer. And in data reviewer, what we're showing you today is basically running some data reviewer checks and looking at the results and things like that. Okay. There we only came up with 15 checks right now for the Cadastral team because so many things are covered in the other methods, including topology and the parcel fabric itself. So we will show you how that works.
Okay.
And just so everybody knows on the Cadastral team, we can always add to this, like get to a point where we want a field that's filled in, like ADU, and we want to know, but we don't really want to apply it to ADU right off the bat because then you're going to have 89,000, empty records. So when we get to the point where fields start getting filled in, you're going to probably want to build some field-based checks, just looking for stuff. We can apply that later.
So this is your QC grid. This is in the QC layer, or the QC feature data set, which is right here. Give me a second. So in edit, QC, and here's the QC grid. This just kind of breaks up the city into, manageable areas for QC.
This is the former tile boundary for the library, as when
zoom in on a spot here to run we'll run an RBJ on a area right here. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring out the data reviewer toolbar. You can right click up here, data reviewer. And we're going to press reviewer session manager button. This will open up a menu. The reviewer session manager. All right, and then
so data reviewer is something that we're going to run after our drafting to make sure our data is clean enough to deliver to Ted or Ken, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can run it on all the features within an extent or changed features. So if you only wanted to run it on what you edited, there's a radio button to kind of select change features only in that session. Okay, so I'm going to create a new session.
Also note, Doug and Edwin, is when you run a reviewer batch job, you're not actually physically going in there and modifying any of the source geometry. You're writing to a whole nother database called GIS check dev in this case. And so you're writing there, and all it's saying is, oh, there's an error here that matches this rule. And so you're not affecting your data. So don't worry about that. That'll have, sorry. When we get to pro, then we will revisit that concept. For now, you're not fixing anything, you're not tweaking anything based on some sort of legal description. You're ultimately just writing to a whole other database.
Okay. Thanks, Ted. We can basically we can open up our batch job. This is where you create them. The reviewer batch job manager you can create, and then you can actually you can see here first. I'm connected to the default geodatabase. If I wanted to run this on a version, I would basically create a copy of my edit geodatabase and then make a versioned copy of it. And we can show you how to do that if we need to. But for here, I'm just going to run it on the default.
Right. It's a connection to your version. That's all we mean.
Okay, so I'm going to open up the reviewer batch manager. Here's the RBJ.
So is that copied into the from GCSE folder for Cadastral?
It should be.
Yeah, we have done it last time, I believe. Are there any checks here related to your to the topology?
Not directly. It doesn't really.
Yeah, to me, the only reason the nice thing about putting topology checks in the data reviewer would be more for reporting purposes. Like if Esmond and Doug ever have to report to their boss, this is how many things we're fixing based on topology. Mm-hmm. They could use this capability built into reviewer to basically denote from a reporting standpoint how many things you're fixing. But
sure.
Still use the regular topology in ArcMap to fix the data through topology means. That's where, that to me is what makes sense combining the two, but then that's just more checks, and more checks cause, performance. So you might, you have too many checks, then it's going to take a while to review and run through the batch job.
Okay. Well, you have 15 checks, and here's a table of them. We've delivered this.
1 second, Adam. I think this you switched to yourself as the presenter, and I'm
Yeah.
not.
Am I sharing my screen? Can everyone?
Yeah, I think.
Oh,
you want to share your screen? Do you want to share your
there
screen?
we go. Can you guys see that?
Okay, good.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Yeah. So here's a table of the checks that we've created for you. Basically, we've delivered this to you, and this kind of breaks it down in one place where you can see them clearly. Karitha, can you share your screen again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite the check. Your absolute for your ST length.
Yeah. That's
cool that you can write down my SQL in a check though. SQL checks and
yeah. I mean, I'm only scratching the surface. You could do a lot more with this stuff. Like I'm doing like just barely easy stuff, like really easy stuff. So, but yeah, that's a comparative ratio check of Kogo to length, and I set to be within 25% of each other. Otherwise, it'll flag it as an error. But you can, of course, change that. So I'm just going to validate these real quick and make sure there's no errors. Okay, good. So that's where I'd validate. I'm sorry, let me open that again. So this is where I'd validate, and I'd set the workspace if I haven't already done that. If I want to change to, check a version or, check a different version of this default. But here's where I run the batch job, the reviewer batch validate button. And it looks similar to the other menu we brought up, but this is actually where we run the batch job. Let me add from file. Let's give it a second.
Yes, and while that's loading, Just want to say that you can run it on a definition query, full database, changed features. And when you're editing, after you finished editing, you'd be just saying changed features only, maybe, because that will, kind of constrain. Or you can do it on current extent, which is kind of the recommended thing for you.
Yeah, we'll do it on the current extent right now. All right, so I can, run all the checks if I want, or I can unselect all. For some reason, when I unselect all, the top one always stays checked, but you can, select individual checks, groups of checks, or individual checks if you wanted. I wouldn't have to, I can just check that one, and I don't have to, of course, check that, but I'll run them all right now. Okay.
Okay. Do you hit the run button?
Yeah.
Okay, and the ETA, we'll know soon how long it'll take. Depends on the, extents that you're looking at and so on,
Yeah.
and how complicated your checks are. We've had, if we run on your entire data set, it could take a while.
Yeah, and actually, I want to say, can I tell them it did run faster before we put all the topology rules in?
Yeah,
Yeah, it did.
that's
It
what
did
I
run.
meant.
Yeah, I when I created this RBJ, it was before we had all the topology rules in there, and it would run on the entire database in like not even 5 minutes. But now it takes much longer.
So previously you had like maybe 5, 6 topology rules. Then we added that 100 rules. So that's one thing. Performance wise, we didn't notice any issues while editing, but this is one thing to note is that this, takes a while for running the batch job. The next step after this is done is we'll show you a few of these errors, how to look at them and all of those. And then we'll switch to one of the editor's desktops in order to see if you're able to run these checks as well. Okay, what was that?
Underlying DBMS
So
error.
did you guys just build checks for the parcel fabric, or did you build it for center lines and easements?
Just for the
It
parcel
seems like
fabric.
we should have a lot more domain checks in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wrote them for the parcel fabric.
We can add more. We can add more. Yeah. So is
But
this done right now?
yeah, I was just seeing that error. I don't think it means anything.
Okay. So we will show also at the so to create that additional checks that Ted was mentioning, and we will add them. But for now, this is how the reviewer table shows up, right? And you can see what different kinds of errors that you have found over here. And if you drag that column and place it up there, it's going to take it like a sorter, like it kind of sorts it by the check title. And you can see that there is that tax parcel condo low pin must match with tax parcel pin, that you have some errors there, and then you have unacceptable misclose distance. So you can go and look at these errors individually. So show us how to browse to these, please.
You right click them. Just click, sorry, I was muted. Select and zoom. Yeah, it's too.
So for Doug and Esmond, what it's doing is it writes a geometry to the reviewer database, the check database. And then it uses that to essentially select your data across back to your GIS.
Let's see, which one is this? Misclose too high. misclose ratio, misclose distance. I
So
think it is set. Oh, I'm sorry. Say it again, Haritha.
you set it to 5 feet. Is that correct?
Misclose distance 5 feet. Yeah. So anything greater than 5 feet.
Yeah.
It'll
So
flag.
so you can go and tweak these basic checks that we have given. Not only that, you can add a lot more and things like that. The next step, we have a few other steps that we can show you in this, but would any of the editors like to, you know, configure it? Or we can do it on both of your computers, Doug and Eswin, and make sure that you're up and running with this.
Sure, my computer is up. I have ArcGIS running right now if you guys want to check it, because you guys just want to make sure that we have this installed, correct?
Yes, it's already there. It should be there on both of your computers. Eswin, should I make you the presenter?
Sure.
Okay. Once you start showing the screen, then we can walk you through the process.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yes, we can see your screen and the arc map. We will also request you controls. So Adam, do you want to request control?
Sure. I can't seem to move my mouse right now. Hold on. Do you have the MXD?
Let's see. I think that we were.
The fixed one.
Mm-hmm.
Don't need to.
Okay. So you can get the data reviewer toolbar open. So have you been editing in this version?
No,
yeah.
we were just testing.
Testing. Okay. Do you want to try running the RBJ on this version or the default? You want to try running on this version? Because
I
there's
guess I wouldn't know. Go ahead.
because there's a workaround for running it on the version. You need to basically set the workspace of the RBJ. And the easiest way to do that is to, in your table of contents, to make a copy of the connection to the geodatabase, the edit geodatabase with a version attached to it. Do you need me to do that, or do you want to?
Why don't I just let you guys drive and then we can look at what's going on, because it's been recorded anyway. So
sure.
I don't want to interrupt the whole process.
Which one's your edit?
I think that's the one, GIS
This one.
edits. Yeah, just check the connection properties and then we can go make a copy of that.
Default.
That's pointing to Eswin test.
Yeah.
A different version.
Yeah.
So maybe you can copy it and switch to this other version. Copy. Paste it. Rename to. LLP 12 version. Yeah, you can say version. Switch the version. So it says LL.
Oh, we should go to the top.
Yeah,
I need to see what
it's
this
past
is
it.
actually.
Keep scrolling, you'll find it, I think. There are not too many. That's keep going. There. Oh, you just missed LLP 12,
Okay.
1235. So you're now connected to the exact same version that's in the MXD document.
Okay. So now we can start a new session. We'll browse to the reviewer workspace.
Yes, and please make a note that your reviewer workspace is different from the data that you're editing. The reviewer workspace is common, it's shared by everybody, all the departments like water, storm, and cadastral.
Yeah.
And
He is, because he's not connected to the check.
not yet. Okay,
Yeah.
let's make a connection. So we're going to make a connection to the check database. So add database connection. Can you go and say add database connection?
Mhm.
And then give the right
Don't change anything. Just click the GIS edit drop down and go click on.
check dev.
Yep.
Right. So that's your connection to the check. And
And then
let's
call it something.
it.
In the database connections, call it something that means something rather than connection to SQL GIS Dev 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Is it this one?
Bad practice. You guys need to call that something.
It's
Exactly what
probably
it is.
for double click and see. Expand the node.
Yep.
So rename that to GIS check dev. Maybe
So
Adam, make sure it's GIS check dev, I believe, because we also have production coming in later, maybe.
there you go.
Mhm.
All right, so connect to that. Okay, you can name the session something. We'll just call it. All right. Now the session started. The button changes to end session. I'll just close this. Now we'll open the RBJ using Reviewer Batch Job Manager. Open. Did everyone download the?
I believe yes, last time. Wherever the MXD was.
Mm-hmm.
So
One
is there
GIS.
any? Yeah. Can't find it here. Maybe go
where's
get it.
your? Yeah. Where do you keep your MXDs and all that stuff?
Right
There?
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but hold on 1 second. Well, I don't know why they're not coming up because they were all there.
I think this is looking for an RBJ file, so maybe he did not bring the RBJ file yet. So can you go to Windows Explorer and get it from the location that we normally keep it in, which was the
Yeah, I'm not sure where that is exactly.
M drive. I think it
Oh, okay. I was the one that had trouble with this.
GIS videos.
Right.
Wait, they will know.
Remember, because my N drive wasn't. It's like it was hidden or something, and and
Yep, from DCSC. Cadastral. The last file down there, Cadastral QC. Yeah.
that one. Copy that.
Mm-hmm. And then,
That works.
okay.
So open that.
Okay, I'll let you drive from there.
Okay, so we're just gonna go right to workspace. And look at that. All right, we'll just click one of them. Let's see, this is parcels, so change data source. Don't ever click this button, just click the data source. And then we'll click our version geodatabase. And
Cadastral.
right.
Up. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. We're looking for parcels.
Parcel fabric.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And apply to all matching paths. Now, this is something you do for the first time. After that, I mean, it should be pretty straightforward, because this is coming from us to you. So this is the first time you do it. After that, you have that file saved, or you can save it as something else and you keep using that or tweaking that file and you should be fine.
Okay, good. Okay, now you validate it. So workspace, then validate. So yeah, you're missing a topology thing. So I'm just gonna add that real quick. Validate again. Yes.
Okay, could we save as?
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm just going to close this real quick and then see what that layer was. It was the topology layer.
Yeah.
So this could go in a QC group, I guess, because we need to add the QC grid as well. That's not on this one, on this for some reason. So we can actually click this button, which is the reviewer overview window. And we'll right click this, properties.
Check dev. Is that in check dev?
No, we need the QC grid. So I'm just going to go to QC, add that. Okay. Page grid, add group to map, label grid. Okay. Okay, just add these to a group.
Okay, Adam, would you be able to save this MXD as a QC MXD? Just so they know they have all of these things in there.
This a good place?
Yeah, I think instead of fixed and everything, just call it QC. Yeah.
All right. Did you make any changes in any edits in here? In this version?
We were messing around with it last Thursday, and so
Oops.
Let's see. Yes, we did.
You did? All right, we can try doing it on the changed features then. Full database, changed features only. We'll select this workspace. Okay. Validate all real quick. Great. And we can run.
So while that's running, as you see the QC grid there on the left side, it's used for managing the quality control areas for your data. And I think you're already familiar with that grid, correct? Hello?
Doug, we can't hear you. Can you guys hear me, Haritha?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. There's Doug.
Are we back? Hello?
Hello?
Are we, can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And it just goes back and forth. When we're QCing, is it only going to QC on the actual tile boundary? Is it going to stay inside those bounds?
Yes, it depends on what option you checked. If you check the option that says current extent only, it will do it only for that area that you see on the screen in the main map window, not on the reviewer overview on the left side here, but only on the not on the reviewer overview window, but what you see on the map, current extent only. Okay, and then the other option that you actually checked right now was we checked right now was where it said only the changed features. That means if you made any edits, only those would be checked or quality, for run on the RBJ file checks. Okay. Um,
Now has all the data been run through the data reviewer already? Has the city, all the city data?
Adam, we did run, right?
For
On all-
Cadastral?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah, it's running right now.
No, what Doug's question was, have we previously, when we were running on on the server, like on the map O2 machine, did we run it on all of the data, or did we just
course.
run on?
I'm running on the full data set.
Okay, yeah.
And do we have the same tolerance of 5 feet, or was the tolerance tighter than that?
Tolerance on what check exactly? I'm sorry. Oh, the misclosed
A
distance.
closer
It's
check.
close. Yeah.
Misclosed distance. It's the tolerance is 5 feet. Yes.
We can
Okay, so
change
as
it.
we
Go ahead. Sorry.
as our assumption was when we're drafting that stuff up prior to this new system was that we would get stuff and it would close. So we would have thought that any lots that were created from the data from Cadme would have had something under a foot of error, maybe even closer to a couple tenths.
Correct. There were very few, I believe. We'll have to go back and check what the results were on the data reviewer when we
I
ran
have,
it last time.
so we sent you guys the table with all the checks, like kind of listed out, and there was an item count and reviewer notes for each one, and like how many errors there were for the whole database. So that kind of will tell you how many there are. So for miscloses,
Did you have the report on the same location, Adam?
it was one. I'm pretty sure it was one of our deliverables last sprint.
Okay, let me make sure.
So
if
there's
we,
12,796 of them.
are you showing? Do you have it on your screen, Adam, right now?
Yeah, I can show my screen.
Okay.
Monitor 2, I think this is it.
Okay, let's show your screen.
Yeah.
So that was 5-foot distance.
Mhm.
And if that's something that you're looking for, and if you're looking for a higher, or lesser, lower this distance, make it like, 2 feet. Can be
I
done
wonder
too.
if that's for something related to do with the original data. The ASL data.
Yeah, is the 5 there under severity? Is that 5 feet? Is that what we're saying?
Severity is just the severity of the check, just for sorting and issues. Yeah, I'm sorting
Like
purposes.
priority level sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this here, where misclosed distance is greater than 5, the parameter
Mhm.
for check, that's where you change the number, and you can go and change the number in that in the check.
I
But
can show you that
So
real
if we
quick.
ran that,
Mhm.
if we ran that down to something like 2/10, then we would get thousands and thousands of errors. Probably going to happen.
You probably
Possibly.
get
Yeah.
more, sure.
Yeah. We can't say that for sure. It's almost like a SQL. It's just a SQL query, right? Adam?
Yeah, it just basically, it's just an SQL check, and you basically you tell it to flag features, fabric line parcels where the misclosed distance is
I
greater
mean, so
than 5.
realistically, Doug or Esmond, are you guys going to go in there and redraw these things out? Because I'd almost say you just take the check off just because, or you run it once a year. Because they're just going to have stuff in there that, are you going to actively fix errors? And if you're going to fix these misclosed errors that are greater than 5, then yeah, you leave it. But if you're not going to actively go in there and start fixing all this stuff and recogo and everything, I'd almost remove the check just because it's just going to be.
Well, if we're drafting inside a box that is missing by 5 feet, then we need to know that box, like if the rectangle we were looking at last week, if we come to find out that there's a corner there that's missing by 5 feet, then there's some kind of 5-foot error. If all of these errors are on the outskirts of the city where we're not closing down, where the fabric has not been drafted, or if it's something that has never been dealt with before, then that's a different story. If it's inside city and we're looking at something,
Yeah, but if you're gonna draft data in the fabric, you should get the feedback from the fabric of what your misclose is going to be, and you shouldn't be hitting. If you're using control to base everything off of, the whole point parts of the fabric is you should be able to get within decimeter accuracy on everything. So.
Exactly. So if it's the 5-foot check, if it's really 5 feet, you would want to run that check at 4 feet and see if it stays at 12,000, and 3 feet, see if it stays at 12,000, and keep moving it down and see when we start finally, when we get down to 2/10, then you say, okay, it stays at 12,000 for 2/10, then we're not worried about it. if these are all outskirts errors. If that number goes from 12,000 to 50,000 from 5 to 4 and then continues to get bigger and bigger, then it seems like there's some kind of error in the data.
Yeah.
And we should be concerned about that. If it stays at 12,000 when you drop it all the way down to half a foot, then we're talking about things that weren't drafted, or we knew that there was a problem, or whoever drafted ASI drafted it, because it wouldn't have been drafted like that by somebody at the city after we got the data, because everything closes.
So I'd almost recommend you create a version and then you go in and you don't run a batch job for it. You run an individual SQL check where you can actually keep dropping the measurement down further and further.
And see where it changes, jumps off.
Yeah, maybe
I would
Adam
assume
show them how to do it.
find out is
Yeah, I'll show you how to do that real quick. Let's
We
go.
can show
Let's
you.
go.
Yeah, just
Let's
go
see
over
how.
this list though, in the sense that you can always come up with more checks as far
Yeah.
as like the center lines and everything is concerned. But a lot of it was covered in topology, and that's why we didn't like add more to these checks.
Mhm.
Okay. And the topology checks can be added in here in order for you to validate them and keep track of them, as you had mentioned earlier, Ted. Okay. Then the other thing is we'll switch over to Eswin's computer and then see where we are with the
Yeah.
check we started running, and also do the same on Doug's computer. Make sure that he's able to run those checks.
Mhm. Just 1 second, please.
Are you guys seeing this?
Yes, you have 4 records that you have.
Should I click OK?
Yeah, please click OK.
All right. I'm gonna click OK. All right.
And you
let's-
should get the reviewer table, or open the reviewer table.
Yeah, this is
And
the button.
Mhm.
Sorry, can you guys hear me? Sorry, this is the button for the reviewer table. I just click. Oh, it's over here now.
Yeah,
I'm gonna drag it down
so
here.
drag it down.
Bucket. All right, let's see. Check title. Drag that up here. Comparative ratio of Kogo length. Okay, so here's that one check. This is the one check you mentioned, Ted. Drag it down a little more. So here's the description, which is basically the where clause. And it doesn't really tell you what we can go to it and see.
Yeah.
Select and zoom to feature geometry.
Can you
Wish it
close
told
the
you.
attribute window, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the other thing is you
And
can
the
actually
catalog
bring this
window.
up-
Sorry,
you could
too
bring
many
this
people
up in
talking.
an
What's up?
actual individual check. Right, instead of running a batch job, you can actually show them how to do an individual check for execute SQL.
Yeah, I will show them that. But we just ran the batch job, so I just kind of wanted to show them what we got real quick. So let's select and view that.
It's the arc, the curve.
It is.
It's on the
Is it still-
parcel fabric lines. That check was on the parcel fabric lines. So it's saying that this specific line, the distance per Kogo is not matching the actual
Why can't I
distance.
see it selected?
I see it yellow highlight. No?
Oh, yellow highlight.
Yeah.
Okay.
And do you have your errors symbolized? Maybe you should show them.
Yeah, I will. I'll show them that too. That's the other thing I wanted to show you. Just want to see. So distance and Kogo distance.
Thing.
I must have passed it. Record distance. No, that's not it.
The shape length, isn't it a comparison of shape length and the
Shape
record
length
distance,
and
right?
distance. I don't think it's record distance. I thought it was Kogo distance, but I think it's just distance actually now. So I think,
There's
oh,
the
here it is.
distance in
There
the
it is.
beginning,
Yeah, that's the one. So 76, and it was 84.
85.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So of course it got flagged. All right, we can symbolize these by pressing this paintbrush right here, and it'll do it for just the session that you've gotten, that you're in.
Up there, the first one on the top, review your data set.
Mhm. So we got some lines and polygon errors. You can move that in the QC layer.
Okay. So go ahead.
Select and look at some other ones. Oh, it's the same area. Incomplete historical record.
Missing legal end date
Mm-hmm.
and or reason. So there's some attribute data that's missing for this. So when the parcel becomes historic, then you are putting that date field, legal end date. So that's the thing that's
Okay.
missing on that.
So I'll show you how to modify the reviewer batch job real quick. So if you wanted to change that misclose distance, it's pretty similar to how you do it in the batch job manager as you would in a single check. I'll show you both. So let's open our RBJ real quick. And let's see, misclosed, unacceptable misclosed distance. I'll just double click that and it'll open. And here's like kind of the SQL check properties dialog menu. Here's where you check the or pick the layer that you want the check to be closed on or run on, and then you can put the where clause in here, and it's basically just as easy as just doing any like definition query in ArcMap. You can verify it when you're done, and then you click OK. You set the severity and a reviewer note. That's where you set that here. Wish I could have the table up too, and I could show you kind of the side by side, but I would click OK. If I wanted to edit it, I could just you know,
Make it 2 feet.
2 feet, you know, that's all you have to do. So let's see. So let's make this check. Drop this drop down arrow.
Are you adding a new check?
No, I'm just gonna run a Ted. Did you want to see just a regular check run?
Yeah, I just wanted to, so if they really wanted to investigate this further for Doug, you can just do the individual check and you just keep dropping the number down instead of going in and tweaking the batch job.
Yeah, so table checks, right?
This is ultimately what we're going to wind up doing is we'll review every one of these checks in the long run over the next year, and we'll be adding checks here and there that make sense. Well, typically the process we'll do is we'll go look at the individual checks. If it makes sense, we'll add it. There'll be some that maybe they don't make sense. We'll remove whatever, but this is kind of just part of the process of going on and constructing checks is to run these individually.
Okay. Yeah. So, all right. So the execute SQL check is how you would you'd run that check. Is the check you'd kind of basic check you'd need to use, and that's under table checks. Execute SQL check. Then we'll call it misclosed distance is equal to 2 feet, or something like that. And then this is done on parcels, parcel fabric parcels, where misclosed distance is greater than 2. Cool. I could do greater than or equal to if I wanted to, but whoops. There it is. That was weird. Five's okay for severity, but that's where you'd select that. Cool, and there's your check, and it's ready to run. And to do it, you just click that, and then we can run on the full database. Okay,
That would take
it's
time.
just one check. I hope it doesn't take too long.
Well, okay.
But-
Meanwhile, this is Esvin's computer. Doug, did you want us to set this up on your PC as well?
Sure.
Okay, we'll make you the
Okay.
presenter.
All right.
Oh, good. You already got the results.
I told you it
18.
wouldn't take long. So we could either browse to results or write to reviewer table. So we'll just write them to our reviewer table right here in this session.
If you were to select browse for Ed and Doug, Edwin and Doug, it would just give you a little browse window that kind of flip through stuff.
Mhm.
And then thereafter, after you've reviewed a bunch of stuff, you could write them individually to the reviewer table.
Okay, meanwhile, while it's writing, should we shift to Doug's computer or would everybody want to finish this first?
It's up to everyone else.
Ed,
What was the question?
should we wait till this is done and then look at the results and then move on, or can we switch to Doug's computer and then?
I'd say go to Doug's computer.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, Doug, can you please share your screen? And
Are we good? Can you guys see that?
yeah, we can see that. And Adam, can you request keyboard and mouse?
Give control. Okay.
Is it okay?
Okay,
I don't think I have control
I
yet.
put
let's
Do I need to put-
maximize that screen.
do I need to put that Cadastral QC inside the Cadastral folder, or does it matter? Oh, it's in there already. All right.
Okay.
What do you
Yeah,
need
as long
me
as
to
it's on
do?
your local. Okay, first we'll start a new session. And we'll add the grid if it's not in here yet, the QC grid. And then let's just do that first. So let's start a new session. That's this button right here. All right. All right. There's a check dev to your database. Yeah.
Did you make the um, version connection to the version first?
Not yet.
Okay.
I was just gonna add the grid first and then do all that.
Okay. So
But I can't seem to really do anything at all right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know. My computer. I don't know. There was rumor that my computer might not be strong enough to do certain things. So
I don't think it is.
Yeah, your machine should be okay with just running data review checks. I wouldn't do any sort of like advanced 3D cadastre or any sort of 3D modeling on your machine, but running data review checks should be fine.
okay.
So just note that when you run when you start a session, you'll find a lot of sessions. It may be a good idea to come up with a naming convention for your sessions because everybody is using that database, including like water and all.
So I opened the what's this button? Oh my gosh. The reviewer overview button, really. Right click, properties. Okay. Get the QC grid.
Here we go.
Just gonna save this. All right, so now we'll use catalog to create a copy, a version copy of this database, edit to your database. Okay. So dweber one training. So I'll right click, I'll go to connection properties, and then I'm going to find that version you had. Let me know if you see it. Let me go up. Was it this one? Yeah. 2.0 training. Yep. I'm just going to confirm that it worked. Okay. All right. Now from the data review toolbar, I can open the reviewer batch manager. There it is. So if you hit validate first, you're going to get errors and you're going to have to start all over. But so just hit workspace first. Parcels. All right, I'll start with this one. Right click, change data source, and I'll just get my version geodatabase I just made. and then cadastral, and then parcels. Apply to all paths, and then okay. Takes a minute. All right, we'll validate, and it's probably wants me to add that topology, cadastral topology again. Okay, and then save as. All right, and then we can close this. We'll just kind of organize these for you. All right. Now we could run the batch job. You know, we have an RBJ that's set up to work with this version. Let's do a one check. So make sure you pick your workspace there, which is your version. Complete historical record. Okay, which one should we run?
I'm not sure.
Let's see.
Can you run?
Tax pin must be populated. Let's see, we got multiple curve center points too close into proximity. This is a good one. There's quite a bit of these errors, so we can do this on the full database.
Should you have to click on the top button, the point checks?
No, I mentioned that before. You don't have to. So
Okay.
just this is fine, because otherwise it's just going to do both of them. So just do that. Okay, let's run that. So could we go back to the other presenter and see where that's at? And we can try something else.
Eswin?
Eswin, yeah.
Yep.
I'm here.
Mhm.
Let me check. Let me see what it. Okay. Oh, it's been done.
Great.
18046.
It's not too many.
No.
I don't know. It
Well,
seems like here it is.
maybe you feel like that, but I mean, you may have to go and check where this is happening really, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be in the outskirts of town, or where we're not really checking precision.
Hmm.
Mhm.
If it isn't, and if it happened a lot, like I don't know if you gotten a chance to check your data that was migrated, but I don't know if something would have happened in the meantime.
Okay.
No.
So here's this comparative length of the distance to the shape length. Set to 25% here, but that can be changed if you need it to be. That's also an SQL check at its core. Let's see. We could do geometry and geometry control points.
But I think right now, Adam, it's best to show how to navigate these errors and things like that, right? We already have shown them how to create a new
Okay.
check too. So as you see here, you have those errors like 18,000, something, you want to go and explore what's going on with them, you're already seeing the symbology, right? Can you zoom out or show us in the
I
grid
have
where all
to.
of these? Yeah.
I'd have to hit the
Mm-hmm.
paintbrush tool.
Mm-hmm.
Place, and then it should just place an
Doug's having
origin.
trouble with his mic.
Okay.
Are you back, Doug? No, he's not.
Okay, so let's link them to the grid here. So you can see this QC grid is null. We're just going to click this reviewer table properties button. We're going to go over to grid. Grid's already selected. Don't need to browse. Page grid. We want, yeah, page grid is the one we want. And then we'll link current grid. And then we'll just click OK. And it's hard to tell that this thing's working. Sometimes this menu is like not so clear that it's working. So just got to be patient.
Doug's back.
Hi, Doug.
I'm here. I'm back in business. Every about 15 minutes, my mic cuts out.
Ooh.
Thank you, Ted.
So that's
What are you thanking me for?
In the void of while this thing is processing, we were just being funny. Sorry, Rita.
Oh, it's okay. I was just saying that link current grid is going to bring in your grid numbers and then assign it there. Then you can see in which grid you have, especially when you run checks on all of your data and you want to know where you have majority of your errors, you can see the QC grid number there and tell by that if it's outskirts, north side, south side, where you have, a lot of errors. So.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Usually I know it's done when I can move this dialog window around again.
So the concept of data reviewer is that when you finish editing, you're going to run the checks on this data. And then after that, the ITGIS may also, before they post the data up, they will run the checks too. And given all of
And
these,
they'll have the ability just to run it on the current edits, right? They're not going to have to.
yeah,
They're
they
going
can
to have
also,
availability to just get our current edits as opposed to running a whole data check. Because the
correct.
whole. Okay.
Yeah. As long as they're connected to your version, and they can connect to your version, and then
They
they
connect to
can,
the version. Got it.
right, they can run the
But
checks
only
on
the
your
changes
version.
involved with that version are going to be checked. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
You can that's the option there in the drop down, right? I mean, you have like run it on all of your data, run it on some of your data, and so on. Regularly, how do you plan to do like the checks? So for example, you have a new subdivision that you're putting in, right? Who is going to be editing usually, and who is going to be doing the QC? Or will it be like both Doug and Eswin are doing the edits and doing the QC too, or how is it going to work out? Do you have a plan for that?
The same person that does the drafting is going to run his own QC and make sure that he's good. And then pretty much when it's good, he's going to hand it off to either Ken or Ted, and then they're going to post it or run whatever
Okay.
kind of QC that's the next level. But what we give to them should be clean and ready to go. There shouldn't be any issues with it.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah,
And
that's our
on
goal.
our level.
That's right.
Huh? What? Take it easy.
I got it. Thank you, Doug.
Yep.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Eswin.
At our level, it will be good. Whatever they mess up on their level is going to be a different story.
Okay.
They get to sit at the high chairs.
So the thing that happens is, and we've seen this maybe like with the other teams, but like water team maybe I'd say, is that one person does the editing, then the other person does the QC, sort of like, and even in our own workflow at DCSE, like we basically have it that way. If one person is doing the edits, then the other person does the quality control. Just because when you have worked on a certain, like, a plan for quite a bit of time, so at some point the eyes glaze over, sort of. I mean, you may be like very persistent and going through and doing everything there, but that's why we have an extra set of eyes, sort of, when another person does the QC. Something to think about. It's not, maybe you didn't do that when you were working with Cadme, but it's something that you can do like right now with this process. If that should ever
For sure.
happen, Eswin can connect to Doug's version, Doug can connect to Eswin's version, and then run the QA/QC checks. These checks are automated. These are machine checks, right? We'll show you in a minute how to check against like source data and then flag those things. So that's a semi-automated check, in which I feel that it's kind of valuable. It's valuable to have somebody else do the, visual or manual check. So it's something to, you can think about it.
Yeah.
How does a day in like your workflow look like, going forward, in the sense that you have a lot of other work also that you work on, like in editing this GIS? Is at some point you get to it during the day? Are you able to finish, one plan a day? How often do you get these edits?
Subdivisions happen every couple months, and so
Mhm.
when we get a subdivision, we'll start drafting it, and it could take a day or it could take a week. We are available to the public. This is Cadastral is something that landed in Eswin in my lap. It's not something that is at the front because we've got stuff that needs to be done that has a specific timeline that needs to be returned. So it's a second fiddle to almost everything else.
We're
Okay.
trying to dedicate one day a week to just work on GIS. And if in the past what we've done with Academy, even though it's slow, it's an old system, if we were to dedicate the 1 day a week, we can literally catch up with everything within 3 weeks, 3 to 4
Okay.
weeks.
Okay.
So it's not
So,
a huge amount of data.
okay, that's what I wanted to check, because depending on the frequency of how much you edit, you will have to, need. So the rare, if it becomes very rare, it will take a while for you to learn everything too. But if
Right.
you, at least in the beginning, you edit a lot more, like try to fit in like maybe one more day or maybe half a day for your editing, then you will kind of reinforce everything that you have learned. And going forward, you can drop it down again, because you're already at that comfort level of, knowing the material, knowing the, tools and everything else. So,
Correct. I think that we were going to plan on editing probably a few hours every single day so that we can actually get used to the new environment.
right,
And
right.
I think it's going to be easier in comparison to the old system,
Mm-hmm.
just because this is a little bit more graphic, and we're
Yeah,
able to, than the other one. But
yeah.
that's kind of our goal, to start putting more hours in now and eventually taper down as we get more efficient with it.
Okay. So since the last meeting, have you got any chance to do any kind of practice or editing, anything like that at all?
No.
I
Okay.
mean, other than like looking at the data, making, let's say, getting used to the new icons and one thing or another. I mean, we've done some of that, but it hasn't been like what we were doing with cache, where we're actually, okay, like establishing something, putting it in, doing a whole workflow, because we were still waiting on some items. Like one of the biggest issues, like what we talked about last with the certificate of compliances, should we merge those lines before or leave them alone and then do the merger process? And that's kind of the items that as we get into them, then we're going to have to fine tune.
Okay. Yeah, while that's waiting, we had some questions that came up, while this whole thing is going on, and I quickly want to check as far as like our timeline is concerned. Like today we have like an hour and a half, but if it's okay, we can go a little bit longer, and then we have our next session on Thursday. That's the advanced training, and we called it data reviewer, but basically it's going to be quality control and any advanced workflows that you might need. Then we also, I think that's it. We may have a post training follow-up, but I'm trying to see, and that's next, the following Thursday. So in between like this Thursday and the next Thursday, we'd like to make sure that everything's sort of, ironed out for you and, we have a few questions that we will need to discuss with you and make sure that it's resolved, especially on topology. And then
Do you
anything
plan
else.
on drafting out some kind of subdivision for us? Is that part of the plan?
Well,
Yeah.
I think for that to happen, we need to pick an area, and I assume we unjoin it. We delete all the parcels. You guys give them a CAD data set for that area, and then they rejoin it with the empty shell, and then they go in there and start showing you how to COGO everything in. That's what I would recommend. Could you click on properties on the reviewer table properties? Properties tab? On the
Not yet. Not yet.
Oh, it's still processing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I started to add properties like when you did you show them flag? Like here's a flag. We want to flag data.
No, that's next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's switch to Doug's computer and then see where he's at, and then
Mine's
see if we
done.
can.
I got
Yes, done?
5,688 records written to reviewer table.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. We're going to switch to your computer, and then the link current grid would probably take time, so we will not do that right now. But those errors that we just ran on, what was the check we ran? I'd like to see. So let's look at the reviewer table.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Multi-curve.
This is the individual one you ran, right? Or no?
Yeah, we just ran a single check on this one, right?
Yep.
A single check, but I think we ran it on the whole set.
Data.
I don't think
Oh yeah, the whole database. Yep.
Correct.
Yeah,
So
we didn't do any edits.
Yeah, you don't, and I highly recommend you guys not run all these checks. When you get in and start editing, do not run them on the whole database. Because you get to the point where you get lost in the amount of errors you're dealing with. When you get into topology, follow the same way. You do it, you go into your little track map, you do your data reviewer check on the track map, or you do your parcel map on the you do your data reviewer and your topology checks on the track map, on your subdivision, only on that exact area of the data. Don't do it on everything because you'll end up with 400,000 data reviewer errors, and you'll end up with a million topology errors, and then it gets to the point where it'll be like completely overwhelming. Trust me.
Those might all be radius points, huh?
Yeah. So
all of those arcs that are supposed to be on one radius point are not tied to the same radius point.
Exactly.
In the conversion. So that's not a super big deal.
Okay.
Right. So let's show some manual errors and flagging them. We will give you an example, okay? If, say, for example, you found that there is something missing in the data, and you needed to, so this is where I was talking about, if Doug, you were to do the edits yourself and you were to, I mean, do the quality control yourself, you'll probably not need that flag missing feature thing or any other semi-automated process. But if you were to check Eswin's work and you need to relay to him which one is missing or something, then you will probably use these tools then in that case. Okay, so
Or
this is
Flag that, show them
Yeah, that's right.
that there's something going on in this area that it needs to work on.
or Ken and I may come in and say, hey, take a look at this error, blah, blah, blah. Here's a little flag, and then make a note of it so you guys can come in and take a look at it.
right that way too. Yeah. So it could come from ITGIS, it could come from, in between the editors. So it's like that. So go ahead, Adam, just show us an example of how you place a flag and how that,
Just click this flag missing feature. Say if you had a missing feature you wanted to put in the reviewer table, and you could say it was this point. And then you select the layer it's in. Let's see.
you could probably say, oh, this one's missing an address point, something like that.
Okay.
So
Right.
you can say,
Add address point.
mhm,
Add.
and
Say.
then you can get,
And so we can also, the review status, we can modify that. So as you guys
You
start
can
to
add the address point.
Yeah, if you start to identify like, okay, I'm not just doing an ad. I want to do review, blah, blah, blah. And then you start to come up with patterns in the data that you're looking at. We can keep tweaking that. And there's two ways we can do that in the data. Or we can set up our own reviewer status.
right. So if, say, for example, you got this note from, let's say, Ted saying that, oh, there may be an address point missing over here, then you can do some things like communicate back to him or, set the status on that. So you can give a correction status, and you can say, mark it as an exception. There's no address here or something like that. Just say, or you can,
Right, yeah, see, we came in here and we said, please fix water, blah, blah, blah. These are our correction notes. We can do the same thing with flag. And for Ken, I think that's what we're going to do. If we want to flag stuff for all the departments, we'll come in there and we'll do flag categories to say, hey, check this out, check this out, check this out. Kind of what I did there for the correction status. We can't change the mark. Can you go click on that again for a second? The correction status.
So now it's verification status. So I can show you a different one.
Click on the okay.
Yeah.
Click on the yep. We cannot change the update status. It's only going to be resolved or marked as exception. What we can modify is the next one down.
correction notes.
Yeah, we can do the notes. We just cannot change. It's stuck on that other thing.
All right.
Okay.
And then
So-
I could automatically verify the result, which would give it a green phase mark. Or if I don't, so usually it's like a two-step process, or if you check this box, it'll be a one-step type of thing.
Yeah, so what happens is, if you have fixed an error, it's like when you say automatically verify, it's going and running the check again for you on that specific feature.
Yeah, where'd it go? There it is. Okay, so
at some point in the near future, if we go out and we build full-on workflow manager workflows, then it would be, okay, do your edit, kick into a process, do your QC. Does the QC check all right, good, or no, bad, go back to edit. And so you'd almost want to have it individually hit each step But if you guys are going in and we're not using a workflow and you're going in and reviewing it, you don't have to, oh, I'm going to go into enter correction status. Oh, let me verify it. But what you should get used to doing is Doug should review Edwin's work. Edwin should review Doug's work. You know, and until you guys get to the point where you're super comfortable with editing an ArcMap.
We have that glitch.
Yeah, the glitch is that it keeps flashing how many ever times, right?
It will flash 27 times.
Okay, good count.
Yes.
I didn't realize.
Don't double click. Don't double click, and you won't deal with it.
Okay, it stopped. I'm just gonna refresh this. Yes. So every time I update this, I have to actually, and I want them to reflect in this, in the map, I gotta hit this button again. And it'll redo the reviewer data set.
Right.
Um,
Okay. So I think at this point, so far that we have come over here, do you have any questions on how the data review works?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So Esvin, is that process complete on your computer?
Let me check because I'm looking at your screen. Let's see. Yes, it is. It says, well, I'm at the reviewer table properties and it just wants to, no, I'm sorry, it's still spinning. I just moved my mouse and it's still going.
Okay. Okay. So I guess we will give data reviewer like a break right now, and I mean, if that's okay with you, and we will go and look at the workflows and everything and the questions that Ted had and about topology. We'll talk about those also. Okay. As far as data reviewer is concerned, we can add a few more checks on the RBJ files, and we can always look at that. But I just want to make sure that you have been able to take a look at the videos we posted for you. There were some additional videos we sent to you.
Yeah,
Those were just the workflow videos.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get a chance to look at the videos?
No.
Not our training videos, but then there was some more videos that we sent to you.
Oh, I thought they were the videos of our training that were being posted.
So there's little 5-minute videos they posted. We have them out in the from DCSE training folder. We also uploaded them to YouTube, and I sent you guys both the link to the one on YouTube. And they're like 5-minute little videos on doing basis of bearing, or I don't know. There's 4 other ones.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that's
we haven't looked at those.
basically. Yeah, that's basically the plan. Was that you take a look at those videos. If you didn't get a chance, you can always take a look at them. But those were the ones that we have been having. We recorded them for you so that you can take, you're familiar with the workflows and everything. But what we would also like to see right now is your understanding of the workflow so far, and then we'll look at the questions that Ted had, and we'll talk about topology. Okay. So I guess my question here is, what are the different? It's more like, what are the different workflows that we have seen recently or in the last training session? And if you have any questions on that, a recap. We have looked at the parcel editor up here, right? And let me make sure that we see the other menus also. We had looked at the details of the parcels and how to create a new plan, how to merge parcels, and how to, like split the parcels and how to create a new parcel. break lines and everything. So any questions on that so far?
No.
Okay.
Could
If
could
you
it
were to go ahead, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was just saying, like, if you were to be given a plan right now and you had to start editing, would you be able to do that? Would you be able to put in the new parcel in there?
As far as a parcel merger and a parcel consolidation, most
Mm-hmm.
likely a lot line adjustment most likely would be able to do that. As far as a map, probably not.
A whole parcel map, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the
Mm-hmm.
starting. You know, do we have to do the outskirts of the boundary and then come in and then how do we establish the inside right of way line and then the outside right of way line? So drawing a line starting somewhere and ending somewhere, we can do that and we can see the misclosure. That's not a big deal. But what we haven't seen is, okay, here's a subdivision. Now once I get the outside box created, then I have to come in and I got to start creating the inside lots. So then I have to do the right of way line like we were talked about last time. And then I'm going to have, for that parcel that we looked at, we're going to have something that looks like a horseshoe. And then somehow I'm going to have to get into create the island lots that are on the inside. And then once I have that island and I have the outside, then I'm going to have to start creating individual parcels going around each other. And so then I have to do 33 individual parcels, and then somehow they're going to have to get linked together. So we've seen the tip of the iceberg on how to do a couple things, but we haven't got into the meat and potatoes on okay, this is how we draw a line, this is how we draw the outside, but we're going to have to individually attach one of those lots to the fabric. Then the next lot's going to have to be, so that a deeper dive into that subdivision that we looked at is what Eswin and I are looking for. And once we get that deeper dive, then we'll be able to associate a lot of the other steps, because that is going to encompass 95% of the steps that we're going to need to see.
Okay. My question for you is, normally you digitize everything using distances and bearings based on your map.
We don't
You do
digitize
not,
anything. We hand draft everything.
what
So
I mean is you enter
started
the, sorry, go ahead.
we started a corner
Mhm.
that we know, and we go to another corner that we know, or we try and close back on itself. And I think what we're going to have to do is close back on ourselves for the new system, which is fine. But
yeah, we should.
Then we're going.
Is there an area that we can find that has like
Right.
6-8 parcels, a small little area that you could then do a closed loop?
Yeah,
and then
let's
come
do,
back and then do the right of way for it, and then because we don't want to have Cash go out and do here's the subdivision that has 80 lots in it. You know, do we have something that's small like what you have on the screen right there? Do we have something like that we could go in there and merge all this data together? So we have one giant polygon, and then we'd come in and do what you're saying, do a closed loop around the outside to get the track done, and then come back through and cut up draw the right of way, and then come back through and add the lots. Is there something that you guys would recommend? And I would say for DCSC to come in and help us merge that data together, and then Cadastral give us the PDF that says this is the area that we want to cut up.
See, this is the example that we talked about last time, and we don't have to do every lot, but we would do the outside boundary.
Take all this stuff and merge it all into one giant polygon, and we don't care about plans at this point because it's all just junk data. But we want to merge it all together, and then you can come in. Cash can show you how to do the boundary. Then come in and cut the right of way out. Then come in and cut the parcels out, and which is part of my workflow. And then use the renamer tool for auto adjusting your APNs.
Yeah, that's a good workflow.
And then you could throw in the import control points.
Yes.
Yeah.
So can we zoom, Doug? Can we zoom to this area that you're showing here? Then we go out, we merge all those parcels together, and then start there.
Yep.
Let's actually, and I'm sorry, I used the wrong term. I didn't mean like digitize as in like click and click kind of thing.
Got it.
I meant
We've seen Lisa was doing
No,
some
no, no, no,
digitization.
No, Aretha, if you really want to keep these guys in your good graces, you just they heads up digitize everything. They love hearing that.
no way. I've learned that.
Yeah.
Instant
pain.
Yeah.
They love
That's dead.
georeferencing, and they don't care about. It's just one big line. They just heads up digitize it.
Let's close all the data review menus for now to make sure that you have enough room on the screen. And if you wanted to, you can switch to a new version or you can continue with this. That's fine.
See, what we got all kinds of stuff going on here. We've got this old right of way that's going to go away, so we have to make that some kind of historic. But ideally, we're gonna do an outline of this rectangle, and that's going to be what is going to be considered these days our track map boundary. And then we have to come down a certain distance, and we have to create that interior right of way. And because we don't know the workflow as far as how to build a subdivision, do we come in and try and establish a center line and then we offset the center line, or do we come in because we have a center line, and we can come down from center line down to this center line, and we can throw the center line around this horseshoe and get back to itself over here, and then we can offset it the right amount. So there's different ways that we can do it. We just don't know where to start.
And do you guys have the CAD data for that?
The AutoCAD
We
data.
do have CAD.
For
Okay.
that specific thing. Now, do you use CAD data like to bring in,
No.
or you do not?
We did not use
yet.
that previously in AutoCAD or in CADME, but if we can figure out how good the data is when we use it, because we get DXFs and now we're getting the AutoCAD line work. If we can figure out how to get that data in there and keep the error distributed, proportioned around to every lot. If this bottom southwest corner hits right on and this northwest corner doesn't hit by a couple feet, it's not reasonable for us to just drag that corner over. I don't know if we can argue that that's proper technique to put in that lot per our code. Heswin?
I was just gonna ask something, and I was gonna throw a monkey wrench into this. And this is more like for Harita and Cash. If we send you guys the data so that we can go through a workflow like the one that we're talking about right now, but I want to ask everybody to let Cash and Harita drive, and let's see how you guys input that in, and then let's wait for questions and one thing or another. Because when we start editing this and we forget half the stuff that Cash teaches us, was teaching us, we can go back to the video, and I want to go through every single step that he's done, because we haven't gone through the basis of bearing exactly how it relates to this track. And then bringing in the CAD data, that's going to be an option now, let's say, but we've never done it because the old system did not allow us to.
Does the CAD data, do you guys know if it has, do you know if it has any kind of spatial reference? It likely doesn't, but I was just curious if it does have a spatial reference, like a
No, it's all typed. it's all tied to local coordinates. So it's on their it's on the map's basis of bearing. So
Okay.
whatever basis of bearing, then I think it's gonna actually work because we can call, let's say, the center line being whatever bearing that's shown on the map, right? And then everything's gonna be related to that, and that we want to see how that relates to the new GIS, let's say.
Sure.
I think we should get started with the conventional method for this specific, track there. And I mean, for this specific plan that you're showing us, we'll start off with the conventional method, and then we'll also show you the CAD for the same thing. As long as you're working in different version, you can have it from, different, you know, what I mean is you won't be overriding your data or anything if you're working on a different version. Okay. So this specific version, let's make sure you're in a version right now, and then we'll walk through that step, a couple of steps. We won't do every one of the parcels. And Cash, correct me if I'm wrong, where it's okay to first start off with, the outline, and then we go inside, and then we do a couple of parcels, and we can stop there. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, we can do it that way.
Okay, so in CADME, whatever steps you do, we'll kind of follow along with that too. In the sense that in CADME, if you were to draw the, can I see the plan again, please?
And Cash, if you do this, you can come back and handle the workflow for the renamer, and then okay, I'm done for the day. I want to close out. Like in regular Kogo, I can save out the data as a little file and then re-import it the next day. But with Parcel Fabric, I can go in and I can select the geometry and it will regenerate the content, if I recall. So kind of show them that kind of workflow. Like, oh, I just finished my track. What I'm going to get done today, I'm going to start back tomorrow and finish it.
Yeah. Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay, what can we see the plan too? Okay, in CADME, what's the first thing you would do? Would you first mark the parcel as historic, or would you first, what's the thing that you do first?
First thing I would do is I would start at this corner right here, and I'd come down. I'd have to set the basis of bearing. The basis of bearing is going to be the center line of the street. The center line of the street is parallel to this line here. So I'd set the basis of bearing as being this, knowing that it's the same basis of bearing as this. I would start here, and I would draft down this bearing and distance, and then that bearing and distance, and I would continue around this bearing and distance.
And
this
that would be
484.37, and that 484.37 would be to here, and then I would go radial to here around that arc and come back around and continue.
And that would be your right-of-way line.
Correct.
And that would be the outside right-of-way line, and then I'd come back and I'd either tie to the point here, saying this is my closer point, or I'd tie to this point here. Now, most likely I'd tie back to this point here, so I'd go back up that line and get to there. So then I'd have my outside kind of horseshoe done.
Right.
Yeah, so what about the overall boundaries? You're not going to come in on that one bearing and just go around the outside for one quick?
Well, this boundary is surrounded by everything else, so I don't, in this case, I wouldn't have to do the outside boundary because the outside boundary is already set. In our new workflow, I'm going to have to come out and I'm going to have to go around the outside boundary to create what you guys have called the track boundary. And at some point in time, previously, somebody else would go back in and do the track boundary and drop that file in there. But we stopped doing that somewhere between the time that a GIS team was no longer there. So we're just concerned. We know that we have to stay within this line, and we're not trying to create a problem with the neighboring parcels to the north, west, or south. And we have the right of way to the east. So we just start drawing this line. Now, when we close back in on ourselves, depending on how far we're going to miss this closing point for, that's going to adjust that line. So it's going to make all this error shifted all around and all the parcels on the outside of this of this tract. So that's where that kind of cleans that up. And then to get to the interior island, we would come down to maybe this point here, have that be our starting point, draft out, start here on a tangent or a non-tangent curve, come around and work our way around that interior until we got back around to here, come back out, come back around, and then tie back in. And then when we didn't close back in on that, we would have that adjusted. So then we would have this outside line, this inside line. So then once we got that situated, I would probably go through and prorate the north line here to get all the error that was wrong on that north line. So if our line was 672.61, which is what they measured, and we ended up with 672.81, that 2/10 would be distributed between all these back lot lines. And then we do the same thing on these front lot lines. And then I'd have when I prorated that, it would put dots at all of these points along here and all of these points along here. And then I'd throw a bearing and distance to there and see what my mesh closure was. And if it was fairly good, then I would just continue to do bearing and distance up, bearing and distance up. So then we would start cutting out these parcels. I assume what we have to do now is once we get that in there, then we're going to have to start here and throw our bearing and distance around until we close back on our point, and that creates that polygon. And the same thing, start here, polygon, all the way around, and get that polygon staying within right away and the back line. But that doesn't necessarily, without prorating that back line and that front line, that doesn't necessarily distribute any error. So by the time I get to that last lot, I'm going to either be long or short. So the way that we try and do it is try and take that error, our measurement, as opposed to ADCAN's measurement, and try and make that distances equal to each other, depending on what their distance was compared to what our distance is in our GIS.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I didn't. I lost you 15 minutes ago. Could you repeat that all again?
Yeah. Continue down Streeter, turn right on.
I'm just kidding. What about Cash? Like you can do connection lines too, right?
Yeah, we can do connection lines. As far as like for like land hooks and things like that.
No, like you want to tie back out to a control and you want to do a little constructor line to that control back to your parcel.
Yeah, like
we're never going to use that. Never going to use that.
Yeah. There we go, guys.
Never going to do that. Never going to use that. Our control for this subdivision right here is the right of way on Streeter, our north line, our west line, our south line. No control points. Just those 4 lines are our control. That make sense?
Yeah. But you can still show them how to do connectors. Or there's a way to do like a constructor type, a connection line. If it ever does,
but we don't use that.
Yeah, maybe it'll pop up. Maybe you don't know.
I mean,
change a little bit.
It's not something that, it's not the way that the city of Riverside, if we tie to control points like that, then everything, when we talked about this last time, if we tie to control points and start doing that, then the ripple effect is going to ripple around the entire city. So it's not just going to affect the parcel that we're drafting, it's going to the backyards of the people next door in the center. And so,
you guys aren't really tied into full on control for your parcels.
Not like you when you're out in Riverside County, out in the middle of nowhere. We are bound by what is surrounding us, and so is this subdivision. When they come into, as if they were building this subdivision, and they come in, they're not. If they run into an error, let's say a 5-foot error on their north line, they're not instantaneously going to put a wall 5 feet into somebody else's yard, because legally they might not own that. As far as a survey line, it might be their property, but the judge is going to decide whether that's right. And these people that are building the subdivision aren't going to get into that business of opening up a court case when they want to build and sell houses. So they're bound by the backyards of the neighboring parcels.
That's fascinating.
So
This
we're not-
is fascinating, Doug. Okay, never mind.
Let's start with this. One thing is we can do a georeference and have this in the background there, or if you have a CAD drawing that you can bring in, and then you just have it in the background. We're not asking you to use it for digitization, I mean, or anything like that. We just want it as a reference because then we can. It's faster to enter our distances and bearings, right? So is that something
Yep.
that's available?
I have the CAD drawing and I have a DXF drawing.
Okay, you can add it in, bring in the CAD drawing, just like you add data up there. The add data button, the yellow one, the yellow with the plus.
Yeah, and if you'll just add only the polylines, if possible.
Cash, why not the whole drawing?
The whole CAD drawing. I mean, that's fine. I just
We can turn off the layers that we don't want to see. I'd like to see the text on there. That's why I was asking.
I see. Yeah. Good point. Good point, Narita.
You don't get the text in there, then you have to like print up a E-size plot, and then you can use your 10 key to enter all the stuff based on your plot. If you want to use it on screen, then you got to at least get the ano in there.
Okay, Doug, please show us where the drawing is. Okay. Can you copy it to your local drive?
Copy you.
The DWG.
Copy them both.
The DWG is fine.
Okay.
To that C1GIS folder that you had. Yeah, paste it there for now. Okay, now browse over to that folder in your ArcMap. Or yeah, in that folder connections, the home. Yeah, you can go there and double click that. You should be able to see the line work, that drawing up there. Select that. And then say okay, add. Okay, say okay. Okay, there are chances that it might not match up. If you zoom to the layer, it's probably sitting somewhere far away. Okay, then this means that this needs the georeferencing. So we'll go back to our location, right? And we'll bring on the georeferencing toolbar. And we can add these. This is tentative. This is nothing super accurate or anything. We're just kind of saying this point is equal to that point.
You pretty much only want to do a 2-point with a CAD data set. If you
Only 2
construct
points,
it,
sorry.
You should only want to do like a 2-point link with a CAD data set. If that's a PDF, then it's or a zip file, it's different. But as a CAD data set,
Okay, so we just use this one, but I'm still not 100% sure
not
if it
changing.
were.
Open
Yeah,
up georeference. Click on the georeferencing dropdown and do auto adjust. Check that. Now do it. There you
Okay,
go.
but
So when it's unchecked, it's not going to do anything. But you should
right,
go back
okay.
and go to the RMS table, delete everything, and redraw it all.
Yeah. Okay. I think this a couple of things. One thing is we need to see the annotation also. So maybe I'm not
I
able
don't
to
believe
find.
this has. I don't think this has any annotation in it. I think we tell them just to send it to us line work.
Oh, okay. Well, it's not going to help me too much in basically having the distance. I wanted to see the distances and bearings on the screen while we, try to input them.
Well, we drafted it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the
Do you
other
want
thing.
to see Harita, or do you want to just import CAD lines? I'm thinking like workarounds right now. We could do import.
Let's
Okay.
do the regular process first, because that's the process where you would have them digitize, I mean, not digitize again, input the distances and bearings, draft the distances and bearings there as
Mhm.
usual. So let's start off with the outer boundary, right? The right of A
Yeah.
line. And I think we all have this drawing somewhere. It's TR. Um, I think we've
Yes.
received this example before. Cash, you might
It's
have it too.
Yeah, I think I do have this as well. Let me pull it up. I'll
Have you
one second.
already finished digitizing this one, Cash? As an example, remember you had an example drawing that you looked at before?
Yeah, that was in one of the older examples. Let me see if I can pull that up. One second.
I don't see that file.
Yeah, I'm looking for it as well.
Okay, what I would like to do is um, we start off with the identifying, and you wanted to do like the outer tract first. So we start off with the plan, creating the plan, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So let's start with that. We'll close all the other. So if that CAD drawing did not have the text on it, I'm going to, not use that right now. Close
okay.
everything else.
We're looking for your guys' direction on the best way to do that. If it's create the center line and then create an offset from the center line, because we do want that spatial relationship to be the center line is what controls pretty much Riverside. So once you get the center line in, then that offset is supposed to be a specific amount, whether it's 25 feet, 30, 35 feet, 44 feet, 60 feet. So that center line goes around. We in Cadme we had to do it a certain way. If now we can draw the center line and draft it around the track and then offset that and then start prorating and then start putting in that lots, and we keep that spatial reference so that we have 22 feet on, for this map, 22 feet on the north side of the street and 18 feet on the south side of the street, and we keep a perfect parallel going on, then that's better than drafting the outside right away line and then drafting the inside, because there is going to be some discrepancies. It's going to be small, but there is going to be some. If we can, because now in Cadme you couldn't offset right away lines from center lines because they were on two different layers and it didn't allow that. But if we can offset the center line, put the center line in and get that established in, and then put the right of way lines in as an offset, and then prorate the right of way lines in, and then prorate the back sides of those lots in, I think that would be the ideal workflow to get a subdivision started where you're starting from scratch on a blank slate besides the outside box.
I see. I see. And I'm looking to pull up the PDF for this right now.
Did
So,
you find it, Cash? I couldn't find it on the server. That's why I was asking.
yeah, I'm digging right now to pull this one up.
Or could you email that to us? Doug?
Absolutely.
Okay. Or
Okay.
can I put it in a chat as we'll go into a chat?
Yeah, you could. I don't know if it will come through the chat, but email is probably better. I'd like to just say this. Like right now, when we will. I just want to see the basics of this because there are methods of addressing the closure in the plan. So I think we should switch to. We'll show you this. We are going to take that plan that you're sending us. We'll make a video out of that as to how that goes in. Okay.
And that's
So
exactly what Isman and I are looking for.
mhm.
And then
Yeah.
once we see how you guys do that, we don't want to waste a bunch of time while we're working on that one. We could be discussing other issues, but that's what we're looking for, to see, like we're looking over your shoulder watching you draft and see where you're going, and then have that on tape so that we can duplicate that, because we can always open up an version and follow your steps and work together and bounce ideas off each other on how that's working. So we don't want to spend 6 hours of training time just watching you draft when we can watch a video and have that completely running in the background.
Yeah, we can definitely make a video for that specific tract there. And I guess my question is like, if we were to outline the steps that you would be, naturally following, what you have, explained just now, we'll go back and then, sort of document and make sure that that's all covered. But Cash, do you have any questions on the workflow? This.
So,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Harita. Or
I
Doug?
mean, I mean
We
to
can
say
we
some.
can we can
Mhm. Go ahead.
just we can discuss how we would do that, and I can send an email or whatever. But you know, coming down the basis of bearing. So our center line right there on Streeter Street's not going to be the same as on their map. It may or may not be, but in our GIS, most likely it's not. So we set that basis of bearing, and we come down and turn that center line out and get that center line dropped in there, and then do some kind of closure calculations on that to get that in there. Then the rest of those lots are going to squeeze in, and then we do the outside boundary. And the outside boundary line is going to be one solid line, correct?
Correct. So
it's not going to have any points at where it's intersecting with the parcels going north and the parcels going south.
yeah, eventually
On
it'll be
our line.
connected. Eventually it'll be connected to the line. But
But can,
go ahead.
when I was talking about prorating those back points, because we have one line on the north side, I'm able to go through and let's say we have 622 feet and AdCan comes up with 623 feet. We need to shorten each one of these lots just by a little to make that line work, and then prorate those points back in. And we kind of did that in our last meeting. So then we dropped those points in.
I see.
And then
I see. Knowing this workflow, this is helpful with the starting with the center line. That's really, really helpful. So we will definitely make a video on this. But keep going. I'm learning more as you keep on telling me about this workflow.
And then once we have the center line in there, then we do a little offset, which is pretty much standard. On the north side, it's going to be 22 feet. So we're going to get a 22-foot line going around here. And I think over here it gets a little different, but that gets us to a point where we have a line down here and a line down here.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you want to build your right of ways and you want to build your easements first so that you can build your parcels and your off of that, or your additional data from that. That's your basis of bearing essentially, or your set, your actual control are your easements. Correct? Your right of way center line.
Yeah.
Cash.
And so once, go ahead. Go ahead, Ezra.
Let me interrupt everyone for a second. I know that tomorrow we have meetings, but would it be helpful if we, let's say, had a short half an hour meeting so we can show you like a fake approach to drafting a map, and we can share the screen with you so you can record it and you can kind of see what we're doing, so that you can have an idea of what we want from you, so that it could be like, okay, this is what they're talking about, and we can do that in probably like half an hour tomorrow. So
hey, that'd be fantastic.
Our schedule tomorrow afternoon is free. So if I mean, Harita would have to, I would think, schedule this, but if anytime in the afternoon, if we can take half an hour from you and we can just run a demo for you real quick, then you would understand exactly what we're talking about.
That would be really helpful, because I think there's multiple ways we can build this subdivision, and just to see your approach, the way you've been, the way you guys do it now, I think it, I think it could be very helpful.
Okay, are you available? What time is your availability tomorrow? Because we do see that there is the electric meeting, so we might send you a different GoToMeeting account and all that. But what time do you want to have this?
You guys could break off and branch off and talk to Cadastral. Ken and I will be there, and then you guys just record it all, and then we'll find it out that way.
Sure, and we can do that at any time before 3 tomorrow.
Okay, so how about 2 o'clock? And I think it would really only run for about half an hour, because it'll be a matter of you guys recording what we're doing, and we just kind of go through the steps, saying, okay, we do this, then we do, we'll run a quick loop around something, and then we'll do a right away loop real quick, and that's pretty much it. Because it's just now we're in Cadme, we're closing loops pretty much. And once you see what we're doing, I think it's gonna make a little bit more sense. But it shouldn't take more than half an hour. So 2
Yeah, I
o'clock will be
think we
fine.
should do it. Yeah. And we've had the videos also and we've looked at them, but it might make more sense right now because we're kind of at the moment where you're going to be starting to edit your data in this new
Yes.
environment. So it will, we will have a little bit more on that one. So I'll send you
And
a
we
different
understand
GoToMeeting.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we understand that our workflows that we're using for Cadme aren't going to be the same, but at some point there's got to be similarities, and so those similarities are just, what do we do first, and what's the priority in the new GIS system as opposed to what was the priority in the old system.
Okay. Sure. Let's at this. So we'll set up a meeting for 2 tomorrow. And we'll send you the GoToMeeting invite. It may show like it's coming from something else, but we are going to be using a different GoToMeeting account, so that's why. But it's
Okay.
going to be pretty similar to this one. Cash, would you like to show us the PowerPoint so that we can go over the items or the questions that we had, and then I'll talk about the topology, and we
Yes,
can come back. Okay.
yeah, absolutely. So let me share my screen 1 second, please. Okay, I believe this is it.
Okay. So this is based off the email that we got from Ted, um, which shows, which basically has all the questions. He had some questions or things to address, and we have made a slide for each of these maybe later on. The difference between feature and topology, edge editing, we can show that to you. The process of unjoining and rejoining the fabric and how that works. We were wondering because you have the parcel fabric right now and you're going to be editing within the parcel fabric. Is there any time where you would need to unjoin and then come back and do it? Because in the parcel fabric you always see the bearings and distances and your closure errors. You want to be aware of that, cognizant of that all the time.
This, that would come in when they want to clean up the areas around the tile boundaries.
Oh, okay, that's the context. Okay, we thought we could show this to you, and maybe uh, let's see why, or it may or may not work. Just a quick quick note here. I mean, I'm going to connect to this environment and then
So we have control right now in the fabric. So if you're not going to use it for parcels, you're not going to even use control for center lines? Doug? Eswin? You guys use control for anything?
No, it's all static because everything, all the control points are all published data and their first order work. So
You don't add,
never
you guys never add control points to the control points?
nope, never. We add benchmarks.
Oh, that's really interesting.
okay. I think I'm
Yeah, we
having a
only add ties.
little bit of trouble getting on your system. Can I make Doug the presenter again, and then we'll go to one of those areas and then see how we can address that area with the tile nodes. Okay, so Doug, can you show us a place with the tile nodes in there? Do you want the nodes to be visible sooner, maybe, or maybe we can turn on the boundary? You can turn that on. It should be there.
Can you guys hear Doug?
Oh, I can't hear him.
No.
There, he's gone again. I think that the city muted him, but he's coming back. He's coming back.
I can
He's
Welcome
holding
back,
for goodie.
Doug.
There he is.
All right, here we go.
Welcome back,
He's
Doug.
got
All
15
right,
minutes.
so where's my, over here on the left, I should be able to get my tile boundaries, right?
Right. Can you turn it on? Like up here.
Where are we going up?
You
I
got
thought it
one-
would be in
Let me.
What are you
tile
looking for?
boundaries, yeah.
What are you looking for? The tile boundaries?
Yeah, group
Yep.
cadastral reference needs to be turned on. Check it on. Okay. You're looking for map page, right?
54.1 right there. So this one here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can you zoom closer there somewhere and then see?
No, that's showing the GIS and
Why is there an offset on the line work?
that's the county GIS line.
You can turn it off.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's down there, but you can turn it off. It's
Yeah, we don't like the county.
and those two. Yep.
No. See if we can find a tile boundary.
Right there, the red one.
This red one.
To the west,
I
there
didn't.
you go.
Right here.
To the right.
You could just add the QC grid and then you'll see all the tile boundaries.
It's
Which one is it?
already the map page, map book. That's the one, and it's red color that's passing through in the middle of your screen. The red color line that's passing through the
Yes.
parcels.
Yeah, right in the
Is
very
this
center.
one here? There you go, right there.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Okay.
So we got these 2 points there. 3
Right.
points.
Right. Yeah. So what I was wondering was if you ran merge courses on these, would that be, helping in merging those lines there? And it does merge the lines, yes. But it also does create historic parcels in case you wanted to keep track of it as historic parcel. Cash, do you
I
want
don't
to?
think we're so concerned with historic parcels as far as tile boundaries.
Right. Okay. So, Cash, do you want to walk through the workflow of merging those?
Oh yeah, sure. So we're doing the merge. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Merging
So
merge courses.
yeah, merging courses. So what we'll want to do is just start editing.
Parcel editor. Yeah, you're already in an edit session then.
Now there should be there's going to be a break in there's going to be a vertice there in the parcel too, won't there?
Yeah. Well, it's going to merge the courses though. Oh, but no, it shouldn't split the parcel rather, unless we're going to merge the courses with the. Are we doing 2 parcels, Aretha? Sorry. Or are we doing the actual red boundary?
The red boundary is your tile boundary. And where the red boundary is, you see those blue points show up because they're artificially split, right? So
Yep.
the
Oh,
concept
that's
is
exactly it.
good running merge courses would take care of those, like remove those points from there and make it one seamless edge here and one seamless edge here. That's the question.
okay. So we're just going to merge courses with the parcel lines. Yeah.
And this is what we were trying to do the last time, but when we tried to merge them, there's this parcel on top of these broken lines underneath, and so do we have to separate? And down here, where we have two parcels together, do we have to separate this one, and then fix this line, and then reattach this one and reattach this one? Is that how? Would that be the workflow?
I would think that you merge the courses on this parcel and then you merge courses on this parcel separately. Run it here first and then run it down here. That's what we have for your workflow. Cache, is that something?
Yeah, we can try that now. So if we want to just start an edit session from the parcel editor,
Yeah, okay.
we're editing. Okay.
We're already in. Do you need to keep track of it in a plan or you don't need to?
No, we don't need to keep track of it at all. This would just be something, if we were in this area and we had a couple spare minutes, then we would do a little cleanup. It's not something that we're gonna try and take on all at once, but if it's a 5 or 10 minute little thing to clean up some of these points, then that's what we would do.
Right, okay. And then you would use your parcel editor toolbar and select the parcel. So that toolbar there, select parcel features and then select the parcel. And then you would right click
Yeah.
and then merge courses, right?
Correct.
You can say delete original parcels because otherwise it's going to create that historic parcel for you.
And the reason that we were trying to do this is when we ran our lot merger, we were getting those odd distances, right? We were getting the distance to the tile point.
That will always, I think, happen because it's reading off the distance attribute.
It's reading off the underlying line.
Yeah.
So that's why we were trying to figure out how we clean the underlying line.
Mm-hmm.
So that when we do some kind of editing to these lines, that underlying line is clean.
Right. Can you say okay there?
And perhaps you can show Doug and Edwin where to turn that off if they don't want to have that pop up.
So one thing I noticed is that it's showing 135 there. That's
So it
interesting.
merged with something else.
Yeah. So what you just did is you just merged courses, but it actually impacted like one of the track map or the parcel map.
Right. Let's undo the edit. And let's make sure that when you select this here, it's going to show up in a minute, but we make sure that
selection jet.
You are this is the parcel, right?
Yep. That's
correct. Yep.
Okay. Make sure that that's the one selected. And
but now with the underlying track map or parcel map, will it not have that little vertex that's placed there?
So that's what we thought we might have a problem with, is when we connect that line, there's going to be my notice little angle point in that line. And then when we combine that, that's not going to, unless we fix the underlying line, then we're going to have a little gap there. And so we need to fix the underlying line or we're going to run into an error.
right there. So merge courses is going to help you remove on one side here, right? On this side, you will still have one because of the track line itself is broken too, I think, right? Your track line is also broken at that location. Am I correct?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
don't
right.
And I,
Yeah.
well, in CADME, there was only one line here, and in the new GIS system, there's two line, or there's 1, 2, 3 lines there, right? There's the underlying line, there's the track boundary, and then there's the parcel line. So
Right.
we have to, and if we just create the parcel line, fix the parcel line, then the parcel line becomes straight line from northwest corner to northeast corner, and then every other line is going to have some kind of angle point. Whether that angle point is minute or not, it's going to create some kind of error in the closure on that line, I would have thought.
So a good question. Do these all need to be completely separate as far as like the plans, the way that they're going to be maintained? Do they all need to be separate, each individual parcel, or do they, like, would merging the courses create a problem? Because it seems like if we do merge courses, that it may create a problem later.
It's if we can fix it, we would like to fix it. If it's not possible to fix it, then it is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, there is
We're
a
not trying to
workflow.
create thousands of hours of extra work for us. If it's something that we just deal with, and then when we do our work here, if we were to merge these two, we just take that, add these two courses together, and there's an angle point there, and if any, then it is just is what it is as a tile boundary line. At some point in time later, some other way comes up, or in Pro, if there's an easier way to do it or a new way to do it, then we'll postpone that kind of fix until later. We're just, if it is possible, we'd like to try and fix it when we come into certain areas. If it's not possible, then we're not going to open up that can of worms.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
possible.
So Cash, what would you like recommend on this one instead of merge courses then?
So, I mean, merge courses honestly would be the tool to do that. I mean, would be to merge them, but I'm trying to brainstorm a little bit here, thinking about this.
Yeah, if you keep them in the fabric, you're going to
It's
deal
just-
with your shared geometries. If you extract it, unjoin it from the fabric, then you can handle each of the geometries as a separate component before you rejoin it back to the fabric.
So in that case, would the error closure that was already like handled when the parcel was being first drafted, would that still be honored, or
It would change.
See, that's
once I rejoined
there-
it.
there's going to be the most minute angle point at that point right there, and it may be a thousandth of a second or something like that, but there is going to be some kind of error, and that's what I thought that this software didn't like, is little errors like that. So you have to fix that underlying line first, and
so?
then once you fix that underlying line, then you can fix the parcel and have it attached to that underlying line that's been having that point removed. But when you run into a situation like here where you have two parcels together, you fix that underlying line, can you disconnect both of these parcels from this, fix this line, then reconnect them? I don't know if you can disconnect two parcels at the same time.
You can unjoin them for sure.
Yeah.
Unjoin them from the fabric
Yeah, you can unjoin them from the fabric and then work with them and then rejoin them.
So when you unjoin them from the fabric, does that mean it's now I can use my non-parcel editor tools, like my feature edit tools for areas like the right-of-way, the shared topology edit tools for doing topology shared edges like you do on the backlots? Is that what that means when you unjoin it from the fabric?
It depends, but the fabric doesn't like that. So
I would say let's, if you want to do it like right now, you're in the dev environment, right? So the whole point of like bringing up those questions was that to see, what's the best workflow.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
if you look at this right now, at this, you have these two, right? And your question was, can you unjoin these two? So you can do a select shift and then select the other one, right?
Yeah.
And just to make sure you got the right parcel, then go and pick this parcel. So now you have those two parcels, right? So Cash, what's the next step to unjoin these?
So then you just right click on the and then unjoin.
So this process is like literally copying these two out of the parcel fabric, and they're just floating in GIS space, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're taking them out for sure. There you go.
Okay, then what's the next step? Should we digitize those lines, or you know?
We would
So those,
want that to be a straight shot between those two lines.
yeah.
Say again, a straight shot between
So we don't want to cause any more trouble than we've got. So we would connect that to that, and that to that as the underlying line that we would use to rejoin those.
Right. So that is the lines that you can digitize. You will not be doing this as part of a plan or anything, right? So you'll go to the lines there. Let's actually go and get those.
So are you able to turn on? I mean, you see the Parcel Explorer, so the parcels get turned off. So are they a way to display them so you can edit them, or?
Yeah, just right click on them. Right click on one. It looks like one might be locked. Right click on one of those. One of the two that were unjoined. Just hit open, and that should bring the parcel details back, and then you can make your edits there. But they'll just need to be done there in the parcel details.
Look at that. That's interesting. You got like an extra line in there.
Yeah.
So the lines, right, for the
Yeah.
parcel.
You got your lines exactly.
And there's also the closure options over here. They're using the compass method, the closure method here. But you have the other methods available. So,
But see, that just seems weird. You got this whole other parcel that's partly underneath 533.
yeah.
That seems suspect right there. I think if it's this difficult, we would just say, you know what, the heck with it. Let's just wait till we can just do it at Pro.
Yeah, it's the way. Go ahead.
And that's what that's the whole idea of this conversation is if it's something that we deal with now and that possibly can be fixed in the future, or something that is just not really possible at this time, we're okay with that. We would like to know, because we're going to be opening up and working in different areas and adding stuff, and if it's a 5 or 10 minute fix, then that's fine. But if it's something that's going to create havoc to the rest of the data, then we're not interested in that.
It seems like it seems like there is history here, right? Is that why you have this parcel extending all the way into the next parcel?
No, that just showed up from what we've done. That should not be there. That's not a historic parcel. That's somehow that parcel that was up here is now shifted down here because it's got the exact same dimensions of 6750 by 100. So that's some other kind of shift of the data.
Yeah, that scares me. That makes me not want to push that to default.
Yeah.
And then
that's not normal.
Piece, and then this one right here is the other parcel. So somehow this parcel here got shifted down over to here, and this parcel down here got shifted over to here. So we're in some kind of ghost land.
Okay. It's almost like seeming like, okay, maybe you did the way it was drafted was using some kind of basis of bearing, maybe.
They might have heads up digitized this polygon. This might have been one of their heads up digitized jobs. And Doug really likes doing heads up digitized. So this might have been one of his heads up digitized polygons.
You know how much I like that.
Okay. Well, so I think that there has to be a specific strategy for you. And again, I know that Ted, you have probably you just mentioned earlier that you have contacted Esri also on this specific issue,
Yeah, they
right?
said it was a pain in the butt. They said to do what we're trying to do right here. They said it was a pain in the butt to do an arc map. They said move to Pro, and then Pro you can just edit. You can use regular editing tools to clean up the geometry in the fabric.
Yeah, and that's the best part.
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
I think for now, unless we find a method for you, I think we'll have to hold off on those tile nodes.
Can we do an undo of the unjoin?
Yeah, I mean edit undo, right?
Nope.
Oh, sorry, you're kind of in the.
Interesting. Go back to the back. There's no. Look at that. You're kind of locked in at that point. You have to kill the version at that point. This is something we can keep playing with, Doug and Edwin, on the test environment. But for now, you guys just do it. Don't do it. And then when we get something nailed down in the test environment, we can duplicate it successfully. Then we'll let you guys do it.
Yeah. So we'll have to play with that.
Yeah. We let you guys do your production. Oh, you got a couple hours to spend. You want to start tinkering around with something because maybe there's an area that it's got like 17 little vertices for whatever reason all along a line and a weird cut, and you can't get a right way to construct. Then maybe we go to the test environment. We try to see if there's a workaround or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's obvious that this is a deeper dive than just join and then slap everything back together. So
yeah.
And that's what we're not trying to do is create extensive amounts of extra work when it's not that difficult to work with it.
So
in Pro,
yeah, that makes sense.
Stop editing and not save.
I will stop editing and not save the edits.
Nice.
Okay.
And then everything's back to normal.
Okay. So that let's get back to that. Let's document it and move along. I would say, what you have found, Ted, as far as that, and then what we try to show you. But then again, the problem with that. And if you find any method, I've seen this kind of situation come up. They say to address it before people move into parcel fabric. So that's what any documentation that we find on this.
That's what they told me too.
Right. So Cash, I'm going to make you the presenter again, and let's go back to that PowerPoint and then see what's the next thing that we have to talk about.
Okay, sure. Yeah, and I was thinking too, we could show, how to, start a traverse and save it, and then come back later to edit that.
Yeah.
I think that was something you guys mentioned, I think in the email, or Ted, you mentioned in the email as well.
Yeah, that's right. But what you could do is when you create a video for the traverse to show them how to do the boundary and then come in and cut the center line in and the right of way and all that stuff, you could, okay, I'm going to go ahead in the video. I'm going to pretend like I'm stopping editing for the day, stop edit, and then 2 seconds later, okay, now I'm going to go back in and start editing. You can literally stop editing, and then to start editing, you could show them in the video, okay, this is how I recapture all those traverse information.
Right.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, that's 2 birds with 1 stone in that one. I like that, Ted.
Okay. We talked about unjoining, rejoining, and this was the context was for the nodes, the tile nodes. The next one is center line, easement, and COGO. Yeah, we will be able to do the COGO demonstration, and we'll probably record in the video for you and then give it to you. But this is for center line and easement. We're talking about center line, not the one that's part of your parcel fabric, correct? We're talking about the other center line layer.
That's right.
Okay. And so that should be something that we can demonstrate and create a center line. So in that new tract that we do, we'll also create the center lines. We'll also create the address points. Okay. We'll show that to you as well. Okay. The ties.
You almost break up that one tract into multiple little videos to say, okay, here's the center line, here's the Maybe you
Address.
construct an easement in there
Right.
and drop some legal points that are in there as well.
Okay, so we have questions coming up for you on that one too. We'll talk about that, but the ties update, the construction line and the construction point feature class for ties. Okay, so we were wondering what you meant specifically because we know that you have the ties and we'd like to go and see Doug's computer again and look at a little bit on the ties because the tie points are not part of the parcel fabric. They're a different feature class, correct?
That's right.
Yeah,
So,
and they're schematic at best. They're just dropped at locations. So you know,
Yeah.
at this intersection right here, when we get a new tie, we're going to drop a T. If there's already a T sitting there, we're just going to drop another T, and it is going to be associated with a document that's going to be linked to it. So
can I see a real quickly what the tie point is? Where one example of the tie point. It should have been in this MXD. I'm thinking in the cadastral down there, cadastral points up there. Sorry, group cadastral points.
group cadastral points.
Yep, tie point.
So
Open
it's
the
probably
attribute.
these two things.
Yeah, you can see the symbol. Yeah, that's the one. Correct. Okay. So
Okay.
those are the tie points. Identify them.
So are these coming in through X? Are you guys generating lat long for these, Doug, or?
No,
Okay.
not for tie points. Tie points are just associated with what's called a tie sheet. And the tie sheet is a way to put this back in. So it's most likely reassociating this intersection right here. But that's the tie sheet right there, 14232, most likely.
So we have a question. Couple of actually the question that we have is how do you create these? How do you need to create these? Because of course, if you were to, again using the term digitize, you can go and add a point.
Aretha.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
She said it. She said
Sorry.
it. Said the
Okay.
word.
I guess we've crossed the quota for digitize today. Okay.
You're
And then,
fixated on digitization.
so let me close this for a minute, okay? And then I will ask you for
Let me grab
keyboard and
let me grab a tie sheet and I'll show you what a tie sheet looks like. And then
that would be
Thank
good.
you. Thank you.
So basically, regarding this workflow, this is technically a workflow it's handled as part of City Editor today. But we didn't have this workflow as part of City Edit because it's part of Cadastral. And so we wanted to handle it. And it's not Doug and Esmond that are going to do this. They have another guy on staff that they'll train how to do what you're going to show them or whatever you guys come up with.
Right. Question is, what's the source? How is it coming in? Is it like a GPS point? Is it like a coordinate that you receive and you need to bring that coordinate in here?
he's just gonna hand drop. So this is a different part of the city, but this is the tie sheet is going to go. He's going to drop a point right here on this BC, and he's going to drop another point right here on this BC, and then that little T symbol or that little symbol is going to show up. Same thing here. He's going to, at the end of the street, he's just going to drop a point right here somewhere. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the intersection. It can be somewhere around here so that you know that that green dot is representing that there is a tie for that point. So if anybody wanted to reestablish that centerline intersection because that set spike and washer tag this was no longer there, they could use these little monuments that are on the curb to put that point back in. That's what a tie sheet's for.
Okay. Do you get this? Do you get this PDF? At what point do you get this PDF? Do you get
after the subdivision's built and all the monuments are set, we usually get this sent to us, and so it's farther down the line.
Okay.
So we will have drafted the subdivision by then.
Okay, so you'll have the subdivision by then. This is kind of like the last thing that might come in. And then when you get that, whoever is responsible for maintaining this layer, so I'll say edit features and start editing, whoever is responsible for creating these tie points, they're going to go in their own version in the GIS, right?
Yep.
And they're going to go to the tie point, and they're just going to place them tentatively, not accurately, no coordinates or anything.
No, just put it somewhere close to that intersection, and and
I
and
can
then they're going to
create
have
it,
to add
but
some metadata to it.
right. So here they will
So
give the
and
file
we'll,
name,
And
street
so you
name,
can just
property.
like close your eyes and drop a point. There's no accuracy to that.
general vicinity, because as you can see here that both of these two green dots here most likely are representing this point here, and he didn't want to drop it right on top of each other because you want the symbol to be able to be seen at a certain level and know that there's two tie sheets there.
So schematic.
So ideally, in the perfect world, they would be stacked right here on top of each other, but these came in CADME as T's, so if you wanted to see that there was two T's there, which was two tie sheets, you'd want some kind of separation. It's just kind of for a visual representation.
For symbology, do you want them as little triangles or little circles?
You can make a T if you want
Ideally,
it.
we'd like them to look like a T. As much as we can keep things similar, people at the city would prefer that. So if we can make that a T, that'd be.
It's interesting. This is different, but it's neat to see.
When it comes to
are we gonna go on past 4, or are we gonna go into, or are we gonna stop at 4?
We can go a little bit past 4 if you're okay with that, because we have a few more things to, look at. Do you think this T, I mean, this is the water T, but I don't know, did you want to use this one? Or we can go in
Can we just use the letter T?
Yeah, you might confuse that when you're drawing everything together.
Yeah, we don't want to. Just the letter T would be perfect.
Okay, we'll just go change that to maybe Arial, because you wouldn't have to worry about fonts anywhere. Just go for an Arial and T.
Perfect.
We could make this circle a little bit bigger if you wanted to like have a green circle around it, or you don't need to. Let's see how that looks.
Yeah, that looks great.
That looks perfect. Yeah,
okay.
That looks fantastic.
Let's stop editing.
Now that we know, we can just like close our eye. I want to start creating T's, because I can look in the opposite direction and then just drop a point on there and say, there it is.
Okay.
As long as you're not digitizing it, everything's fine.
I'm going to draft it into just a location.
It's great.
Okay. So we saved that. Let me go back to the presentation. We know what the T's are right now, and we still need to talk about document linking, but we want to have a separate meeting with Ted on that. Cash showing the screen right now. We control points. So control points, you're not going to import them, right? That facility is there, but it's not something that you would be doing.
What about new benchmark points?
Benchmark we do add.
How about any sort of points that you use to have any sort of tie-in to? How would you get those in?
We would digitize them just like we do. Well, I don't want to call them digitize. That's sorry. We would just.
So you guys, your control points, your little point data set, you're gonna close your eyes tight and just put a point in there while your point data.
You're lucky. You're just lucky you're remote.
Yeah.
So when it comes to benchmarks, if
parents are all about super accurate, and here I'm hearing this, yeah, you just close your eyes and drop a point.
That's why we have somebody else do it. So we're not associated with it.
So if we know that, let's say if we're creating a new benchmark and it's on the face of a catch basin, the person that would be drafting this point, he would say approximately the catch basin is like right here. And because we're really looking at the description, we know that there's a point there, but what really matters to us, not just looking at the point and not necessarily the the X and Y or for that location, but mainly the description, because the description is what's going to be published to the public if somebody wants to use that benchmark. So having a nice symbol there is fine. What's important is that the description is correct.
Oh, okay. Just want to say that there is something that's available. We can show it to you, but you may or may not use it, right? Just knowing that. But then let's look at the parcel renamer. It's also a tool that's available. We thought that you got your APNs from the county, so you wouldn't be doing it unless you got it from the county, right? It's not going to be. So you have fixed numbers that you will follow based on your source material.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're still they're gonna get the APNs from the county, but they may not necessarily. I assume you guys just type in APN 1, APN 2, APN 3, APN 4.
No. They don't have to do it manually. We just want to find out if it's being
That's what I'm saying.
assigned or if it's
Parcel
Because-
renamer will allow you to do that.
Right. Okay.
Did we
So
did we
I-
ever decide what happened to the actual lot numbers and parcel numbers as opposed to the APN numbers that we see circled here? Do we have that data?
oh, you should. Let me make you the presenter again. Can you show us your screen, please? Okay. So
So is that
all of your annotation should be here. Okay. If you go up, there is a group annotations up there, group annotations somewhere. There's a base map annotation, you can turn that on, but that's Cadastral reference. We saw that overlaps come up, and that's why we turned off some of the layers, okay? So just want to make sure we don't miss it.
more important? It's nice to be able to see that that's an 18, but that doesn't help us a whole lot. But our legal description is that this is lot something.
Lot
And
numbers.
so the text.
Did you, those are parcels. So don't need to worry about that group is for the polygons there.
How do I turn off this 01?
Oh, go scroll up on the left side. Yeah, on the table of contents, scroll all the way up. Okay. Then you will see something called the group annotations, Cadastral annotations. Drop that down. Then turn off the, is that the lot number? The 18 is the lot number, right? Okay. So you can turn those off.
This is more of what we're used to seeing, because the legal description is going to be lot 100. That's what I was worried about, that we might have lost, but that's in there. Okay, fine.
Yeah, it's there, and there's more too. We just didn't know which ones you would prefer to see, but you can turn them on and off as you like here. Okay.
Okay, awesome.
Also, sorry about that.
How many of those parcel or annotations are feature linked, and how many are just free form?
Is that a question for us, Ted?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That comes back to the question of show them how to do editing annotation.
Yeah, we can certainly show editing the annotations, but for example, if you looked at this street name over here, and we clicked on the street name, then you see that it's actually linked to the lines. So this one is not a feature linked annotation, but there were some things like the miscellaneous annotations, and I don't know if this one's linked to this. So most of them are feature linked annotations in your data actually, but if you were to have anything that's not linked, that can also be edited. We can show that to you. What we'd like to do is show it to you in a video, and then that way you will have some recording. But it's very simple to edit the annotations that are not feature linked. I will go back to It's just about 4 right now. If anybody needs to, you know, if you want to continue later, we could, but I just really wanted to touch upon all those questions that we had. Um, let me quickly check here.
So I thought parcel renamer you guys could include as part of the workflow for doing
Yeah.
the construction.
In the subdivision, and the same thing goes for the next one, which is show how to rapidly construct lines for the same length for traverse in Fabric. I think that would be constructing those lot lines.
Like I remember being able to do like a backlot. If I said 65 space 3, it would construct out 65 3 times. You ever heard of that, Cash?
Say that again, Ted. I'm sorry.
If I'm doing a traverse and I wanted to construct 10 lines that the backlot was 67 feet, I could do 67 space 10, and it would go and construct out all 10 at 67 feet. Something
Yes,
like
you could do that. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's what I mean by that. A little shortcut, basically.
Exactly. Saves a lot of time.
Okay, so that one, and then the ability to stop traverse, we know, we talked about traverse already. We're good with that.
And you're going to show us when you in the workflow you're going to create, you're going to stop editing when you're constructing the parcels, and then come back, stop editing, and then come back a millisecond later and start editing, and then re-grab the traverse that you stopped, pretending that you went home for 24 hours.
Yeah, there's 2 ways of that traversing, and we'll show that to you also. But there's the general one, which is in the Kogo, and then there's in the parcel fabric itself, in the parcel details, you have the other one, which will show you the parcel one though first, and then the other traverse will cover as part of the Kogo training.
Are you able to, like, with regular Kogo, I can I can move the traverses around. Can you do that with the parcel fabric traverse too, or no?
No, not unless you enter the dimensions and the all the information in the parcel editor. I mean, you can use the transform parcels. Yeah, so actually, yes, you can. Then again, you can use transform parcels to play around with the lines and move the lines and really adjust the data however you want. Those polygons.
Okay, so least squares, we talked about it last time, and it's available. We showed how it works. But if you really need to now, then there's the closure types in. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and that's least squares adjustment is not something we use a lot, but the compass rule, rotate, translate, and scale, and grant boundary adjustment, those kind of adjustments are the ones that we use to close in our thing, and we'll show you an example of that tomorrow.
Okay, when you show us, yeah, we'll kind of show you the equivalent in the other side. Okay, in the videos that we make. Okay, so given these, I think the only thing that's remaining right now is topology that needs to be discussed. But again, these are the questions that I have mainly for Ted, because at this point, I think on the cadastral specific, it's more like this is what happened. I'd like to tell you. Cash, do you have my slides in there?
Yes, topology.
Okay, go on to the next one. We were planning to go through these. We're not planning to go through these now. What I want to go is straight to the error message down there. Number 34, slide number 34. Okay, so this is what happened. We put in all the rules except for one rule, I believe. And this is what we ran into when we did this. And it's more like a troubleshooting thing right now. So if everybody else.
So at this point, I would just leave it off.
Leave off
this topology rule.
We'd like to talk to you, Ted, about this. So other editors may not need to be in here in this meeting like right now, because this is more like troubleshooting and we don't want to confuse people further. So, but we do need you, Ted, in this meeting, and Ken, if you'd like to be present, just to discuss this.
Okay, so Ken, you can stay, and Doug and Edwin, you guys can go.
Rita, you want to talk about attribute assistant, from where these other attributes gets populated?
Yes, that's a
Or
question too,
tomorrow?
but we can show them tomorrow. Maybe
Okay.
tomorrow.
Or you can fill in the attribute assistant with the advanced for data reviewer on Thursday. Ken and I actually have a meeting at 4:30, but
Yeah, we won't take much of your
Thank you,
time. We
Harita.
will.
Thanks, Cash.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, thank you
Talk
both.
to you guys,
Thank you, Doug.
talk to you guys tomorrow.
Thank you,
Have a
Yasmin.
good
Yeah,
day.
tomorrow's I'll send you the link for the meeting. Okay. So this is what happened, Ted, on topology. First thing, you try to validate the topology. I actually did not validate it on the file geodatabase. I'm sorry, I did not validate it on the enterprise geodatabase, but I validated it on a file geodatabase. I took a copy of the data and I ran it. Then I got this message. What this is saying is parcel fabric points, its subtype code is null. Shouldn't be null. And this parcel fabric points did not participate in any of the uh, topology rules that we had, but it was part of the parcel fabric and it did give. And so what I proceeded to do next was just randomly, because I was working in a file geodatabase, I randomly calculated everything to 1 there, and then I got one more error after that. The second error that I got after calculating it to 1.
yeah, I'm thinking what might be happening here is that Parcel Fabric has its own built-in topology to it. And so with us constructing topology rules in addition to what it has stored internally into the fabric, to where you guys, and this is no fault to you, this is kind of what I asked for, but where you could do an overlay between points and lines, and or points and polygons, or lines and polygons and lines, that might be what's causing some of these issues.
No, actually, let's talk about this, because it is requiring that OID field. I mean, sorry, not the OID, but that subtype field must be filled in, and it is not. It's something that you have to eventually take care of. I think let's show that to you, that data. Okay, 1 second. Lata, can you connect to to the system? Or
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
get some of these errors when I try to build replicas with the ArcFM data. It comes back and it says all these tables are not registered as version, and I'll be like, "What are you talking about? I'm editing them as we speak."
No, I think the problem was that being null. And after I calculated it from being null, then I got something else. And finally, it's working. I'll show you what it's at right now. Finally, we got it working. But this is all on the file database. So in case you
And
have to get
weird,
this.
it's also weird that you would leave you an OID at null, because that should be a GIS calculated field.
It seems like for some weird reason that when the data was migrated, that parcel fabric points, I don't know if it was a migrated layer or an auto-generated layer. I'm not sure about that. But it's got 3 options. One is it's got end of the line, and I'll show it to you. But there were 3 options, and this happened to be like the one that the one that's saying null. The type field is your subtype field, right? It should be filled in, and it isn't. So it seems like for you it's best to fill it, but I couldn't, like, for my experiment right now, I didn't actually fill in like properly. I just randomly calculated them all to be 1. There were 3 choices there. Once that's filled in, then it started giving me message saying that it's a geodatabase, file geodatabase issue or something, like unable to register this version. And finally, I made a copy of that and I dropped the whole data set and I recreated the topology again in that file geodatabase, and I loaded the rules again. And then it gave me a message. There was one specific error where it was not working, like you had every single parcel fabric must overlay rule. there was something on the must overlay rule that it happened with the parcel fabric, and if I removed that rule, then it worked. So those were my 3 steps of troubleshooting. It seems like they need to be taken care of on the data. You can try doing that on the dev environment, and then it might be okay. So one rule did not work out again so far. Okay, so let's see. And that's why we were trying to look at the results of the validation. Lata, are you able to show?
Sorry, I'm still trying to connect for some reason. It's still trying to connect.
Yeah, I'm kind of there, but I couldn't get back on it. My password like stopped working. So
Yeah, there's something.
Oh, you need a reset on your password?
like how you get an email and then you try to paste the email and that email doesn't work. I mean, sorry, you get an email with a password on it, and that if I manually
I
type in,
think
it never works.
I'm also in the same one. Maybe there is something going on with the secure link.
I'll close it for a minute and then let's see. Are you connecting?
It's still spinning at that. When I enter the secure password, it's not going past after that
Yeah.
through the link.
You want me to ask RIT to see if you guys need password?
It's not the password, it's the authorization key. When I enter it, it's not, it's just spinning.
I'm trying to jump in again, so.
Yeah, try that. If it doesn't work, then we can check with the IT.
Okay, I think I'm able to get in there right now.
Oh, okay.
Is
good.
that O2, right?
Yes.
So we got transport coming up Thursday?
Yes, we actually have something tomorrow at 3. Sorry, transport pre-training is tomorrow at 3 p.m.
When's traffic and planning?
That's on Thursday at 1 p.m. Sorry, I saw your email, but got busy with this one. Okay, I think I'm on your system right now. Let me show you the screen.
Oh, I do see pre-training tomorrow at 3. And then nothing on the 7th, just electric. And then pre-training for planning and traffic on the 8th. Oh, I see. So then the 13th, we're going to have planning and traffic editing. Okay, for some reason, I'm only seeing some stuff, but now I'm seeing them all.
Okay. So this is in our catalog. So these are all my, geodatabase copies that we made. But you know that if you go inside here, you'll find your topology, right? The same thing is a replica over here, just the cadastral data set. And then this is the topology. Properties.
Basically, if you guys find any topology rules you don't like, just remove them.
Yeah, I think the must not overlap with parcel fabric didn't work out, annexation and that. So I just removed that one single rule and now it's working. But I also wanted to show you that in the parcel fabric points, not line points, but points. And the type was all null. It was all null, and that's why I got those errors. So I calculated it to randomly 1, but in reality, these are supposed to be something. There's 1, 2, and 3. 1 is endpoint. I mean, you probably already know this.
Actually, oh, that's your topology database?
This is my copy. Yeah, file
Yeah, so
geodatabase
that
copy.
seems to be like,
1, 2, 3. These are
that's,
supposed to be filled properly.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't calculate that. Well, because I guess the points are like, what is POB? Place of bearing, or what's POB stand for? I'm not a surveyor, so I don't know. They have all their
point
own.
of beginning, point of beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So we're
I
going to
mean,
need to have them tell us what it is. So that to me would be like a reviewer check. Like we
yes.
need,
Okay,
we need
correct.
that type field populated, and then before they can do that, they just can't run the topology. Maybe we pull the topology for now, and we add it in a year. That's what I would do. I would add that as a reviewer check to make sure that type is calculated. Remove the topology on that ties back to that. Once they've got that fully populated from data reviewer, then we'll come back in a year and add it as a topology check.
Yeah, but problem is this Ted. I looked for that specific layer, and I mean I have my original backup here, right? And this is my first one before I started working on anything. Just a copy straight out of your geodatabase. If I validate this, it's not going to work. If I go to properties, and I was wondering how many places is that feature class in use. It's not at all in use in any of the parcel fabric lines.
Yes,
It's not in use here.
yeah.
And it's not in use here.
I know,
So
but
go ahead.
what you're seeing is the fabric is like a giant topology. So
Yeah.
where the points do come in is the points are part of the fabric, and the fabric has other layers that are in here. So
Yeah.
what's maybe happening is you're seeing an error. We either talk to Cadastral and say, hey, what can we batch calculate this type field as? Or we might have to pull out all fabric related classes, because the points participate with the lines and the lines participate with the polygons. Just like if you do a regular topology outside the fabric, when you replicate the data and you want just one line data set, you end up with the polygons and the lines, because whatever participates in the topology, that's what you get. Something like geometric network. So what we might be seeing here is that the one point data set that may not exist in topology is actually causing problems because it's related to the lines and the polygons and the line points, because it is
Exactly.
just one giant topology.
Exactly. So so did you want to ask them if they can be mass calculated? And that
I think what we do is we ask them if you guys can come up with a thing, and then if they can't, just say, we can ask what's the one that's 50%. If there's one that's 50% more, if that's not the case, then we leave it blank. And if we leave it blank, we got to remove the fabric layers from the rules.
it almost seems to me that it's probably an oversight. Somebody just missed it. There may have been data in your original CADME that will tell what they are. And or you can ask them, because once you know which, if you have the CADME data, just overlay it and do a selection based on like point of beginning, and calculate them all together. So that's what I meant to say. It's easy to handle it if you know what it is. Either spatial selection, spatial is what I'm thinking most likely is going to happen. You may have some layers that already say, because other than that, if you go into the parcel fabric, there were no other attributes also, I thought, that would kind of tell you what it is. There's no category, nothing sort of filled in here. So you might be able to get, like, if it were coincident with the line points, I don't know, or the control.
I don't even know what are the parcel fabric. Now that I know that they don't use control for anything, what do we care about the points? So okay, so what are the points? Are the points like benchmarks?
They're just for connectivity. The points are simply just for connectivity at this point.
Well, yeah. Let me show them to you here. These are the ones, points, not
These are
that
just the points
parcel fabric.
between all the, these are just on all the intersects.
Oh, those are the little ones that you were trying to get rid of today. These guys, these blue guys, I believe, because those are not line points. Those are the points here.
Oh, those are like, so those are kind of like, yeah, like if I build a tangent, it's gonna put a point
At every, yep.
yeah, at the beginning of the tangent, at the end of the tangent. That's where there's a data set in here that they like that tracks all that stuff. I can't think of the name of it, but it's in here. But you're gonna see those at the beginning and close of circles, and it looks like you're seeing them on every 2 point.
Mm-hmm. I'm
So
going
there's
to
no way you're going to be able to populate that across the board because you don't know if it's the beginning of the curve or the end of the curve. So the one thing where you would get that information from is there's data set that I'll have to look. There's a data set in there that tracks the kind of like the tie points, but it's not. It's a damn, I can't remember it. But there's another data set in there because one of the consultants was like, "Oh my God, this is great. I want to keep it." Well, we don't need it. Well, I want to keep it anyway. So here you go. And what you're showing me is exactly that data set. It gets tracked along the center lines and the parcels. You're only showing me the points on tied back to the parcels.
Okay. If you can give me, right. We know it's easy to transfer things spatially. If we know where they are, we can do a spatial selection and then do it. And hopefully there isn't like overlaps, and hopefully.
Yeah, let me look for that. Let me look for that data set. I'll send it to you the name and say, hey, here's the name of that data. It's in there. I just gotta remember what it's called.
Right. And no, I mean, knowing that you can create those topology rules and they work out fine, because finally after doing that, whatever, workaround I did, I do have the topology. I think this is the one, and we were able to validate it. Let me show you real quickly.
Up, right, down.
Cadastral topology.
Up, right there.
Ah, okay, got it. So it was validated, and there was that one layer that was showing too many errors, but other than that, you were okay. I removed that rule, and you got just a few, total 45.
Yeah, the data should be pretty good. It's Riverside data. Every time I go to Esri, would always show like the city data.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, hey guys, I don't work at the city anymore. I work at the county. Then they look at our data and they'd laugh. Now they think I work at the county and I work at the city. It's just but yeah, the city data has always been front and center in a lot of Esri demos because Pat Hull used to give Esri all the data. So it's pretty good data, but now it worries me because they don't use control for anything. We can't ever do LSAs. We can't really ever make it decimeter accuracy because we don't have it tied into control. Which
is really important in the parcel fabric. I mean, that's what it's really based around is when you get those updated surveys and those plans that have control in there, it just makes the data way better and the connectivity, right? So So you
mean like a local control versus having an already established control that they're using right now?
Yeah, it's confusing to me because so the county, we had terrible control, so our data was 100 feet off. These guys started with good control, maybe around the outward boundary, I'm guessing. But at some point, if they don't use the control, then consistently the data that they're entering in is as good as the county, where the county has done their, because we've done LSA adjustments in the eastern half at this point based on BLM data, but or we had. I don't work there anymore. but the bottom line is we were still tying into control. So to me, it's over the long run, the city data isn't really any better. It just happens that it started in the right place. And consistently, when they edit the data, they're just doing it as well as accurate as the county does now. Because the county does the same thing. We tie it back to the parcel data that's internal. Actually, to some extent, where they can, they build connector lines to control still. So the county data in the long run will be better than the cities.
Right. Okay. I think
It'll take a long time before that actually becomes the case because they
Yeah,
do have a better grid work throughout the middle of the city as well. It's not just a perimeter thing.
yeah, my understanding is they are pretty confident about the street center line, the center line part of it, not the ties, but the center line intersections,
Yeah.
street center line. So they seem to be pretty confident about that, and that's why they're using that, it seems like to me. So
We can make it, yeah, we can make that work.
I'll come back and I'll show you that data set once I find it. We have to take off.
okay, thank you for your
Oh, you
time.
know what it is? It's CAD street tick mark.
Oh yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that CAD street tick mark. If it has end of,
Is it in the reference or is
It's
it in the?
downstairs.
I just saw it in the art catalog. So go down past street monument, go 4 down, right there. So find that data set. That's the end of point of bearing and all that stuff.
I know it's already added in here, but let me add it in here again because I know it's the lines that are at the end of the parcel. I thought that's what CAD street tick mark is.
That's the closest I can see in their lines. They're not points.
Well, yeah, but they kind of are at the, I'll show you where I found it. See that little thing there?
Yeah. Yep.
That line is your tick
Yep.
mark.
Yep.
But
Yep.
it's not saying here either, unless you tell me that one of these attributes is telling what it is. But there is 3, 2, and 1 here. I noticed the 3, 2, and 1 here.
Oh, if there's 3 and there's 3 in the other one, once
Yeah.
we reverse engineer, we got to get them to tell us what's a 3, what's a 2, what's a 1, and then we can look for some sort of calculation between them.
That should match with the subtype given on that. 3 to
We
1.
hope. That's what I'm saying. We hope. So that's one there, right? And this one, it doesn't have anything. But what's our 3 to 1 in our in the data? We can see and we can.
Yeah,
maybe see.
right away is not a good example. We should go to the parcel one.
Yeah, but like, okay, yeah, we'll look into this. So thanks. We will check out on the tick marks and get back to you if that's relating. Okay.
That's good. And then talk to me tomorrow about the document linking.
Yes,
Or
we need
you
to
can
talk.
talk to me after 4:30. I have it's a 30, it's only a
What
30
time are you available?
I'm available after 4:30 today, and tomorrow's heavy. Wednesday I'm free pretty much after the electric meeting. That's the only thing I have all day on Wednesday.
Okay, today it's already 4:30 right now. That means you have time to discuss on the linking right now.
No, I'm sorry. I have a meeting from 4:30 to 5.
Oh, so after 5.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we should.
A time like the present, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
At 5:30.
Do we have access for that? Oh, sorry.
And
I was just checking. Do we have
IT
the access?
may not let you guys have access to the production server.
Oh, that's a production. Okay.
Unless you get this for the document linking, because they don't typically allow that unless CJ's able to push something that nobody else can do. So we kind of have given you guys, I think you're added to our production database. We just haven't really set you up because it's a brand new system, so nobody's live on anything. So, well, I guess technically we do have people now in sewer and storm and water who are in 2 different databases, but okay, we'll have to talk at another time. I have to take off.
Okay, maybe tomorrow then, right after a meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Talk soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
All right, good luck.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.